7:19 in the morning, where I'm at the outskirts of the capital city of the Republic of Kenya. This is KUTV Kenya broadcasting live to you, and the show you're watching is Rise Today. This segment is called Biashara Tuesday, and this is for first-time viewers only. So if you are watching for the first time, let us know what brought you here, how you got yourself here, and also a shout out will be necessary. So leave a comment on the SMS platforms / WhatsApp numbers there, and also on social media platforms at KUTV Kenya. So welcome to Biashara Tuesday. A preview into what we do here is we talk about business, the economy, politics, the technology, just basically everything else that is involved in how you are making money. How you're losing money also is something of our concern. And this week there's a lot to speak about, from the economy of the state, the business of the republic, and also the business of you as an individual. We are slowly headed towards that deadline for tax filing this month, this June. By 30th, you should have already filed your tax returns. How many of you are going to do nil, even after making a fortune for the past 1 year? But before you snitch yourself on the SMS platforms, let me know how that process is looking like for you, and where you are stuck. What questions do you have in terms of tax returns and tax filing, this being the month where that is key and necessary for you if you want to, of course, not fall into that trap of fines from KRA. Speaking of KRA, they fell short of their target revenue, or what they were supposed to have collected as of the end of this financial year. The Ministry of Treasury gave them a target of 1.9 trillion, and they raised only 1.6 trillion, which is about 81%. The Auditor General says that these are very wild expectations to put on KRA, because this is eventually putting on that pressure from President William Ruto, who is now, of course, giving a relief through taxation. Taxation is the way that the President of the Republic sees for us to patch that gap that is there in terms of revenue collection, which fell short by 300 billion Kenyan shillings, and also the amount of debt that Kenya owes the rest of the world, which is standing currently at 5 trillion, and domestically at 5 trillion. So a total of 10 trillion is the amount of debt that we owe, and our budget stands at around 3 trillion to 4 trillion. So looking forward towards the next financial year, the government is hoping to raise money through the finance bill of 2024. It's currently being discussed by the Parliamentary Committee of Finance and Planning. Submissions from stakeholders across the country, of course, the effects that will be felt from the provisions in the act that is there, or the bill, currently the bill, before it becomes an act later on after debate in Parliament. Of course, public participation has happened, but the question still remains whether our public participation does really count, or is it just one way of ticking that checkbox in the process towards enacting something that had already been thought of before even being signed into law. Will the concerns of the Kenyan citizens be taken into account? Most of these international firms, as had pointed last week, will be affected by a new tax known as SEP, Significant Economic Presence Tax. This is an addition to the digital service tax that they're currently giving at 1.5%, which will move to 3%. The SEP, the Significant Economic Presence Tax, will be at 6%. So this is how it looks like for you. For example, take an example of your favorite ride-hailing platform, let's say Uber, which is paying 1.5% in terms of DST, paying 6% in terms of that new tax, paying 30% in terms of corporate tax, and an annual turnover tax of 3%. Adding on top of that is 2.5% tax on motor vehicle circulation, plus that financial transaction cost, which is going to go up as of the enactment of this bill. Considering that it's very expensive to purchase a car in Kenya as compared to elsewhere in the world, this means that all these costs will finally be meted on you, whether it's in the matatu fares that you're going to pay, or through the amount that you're paying through the ride-hailing cabs. And this is just a few of the few effects which stakeholders and experts are saying that they hope the government will take into account before, of course, putting this through into law. I'm going to discuss in depth how this looks like for you, and the guest that I have here for you today is a finance expert Court, and it's a lady by the name of Monica Wamushiri. Monica Wamushiru is a finance professional and also a graduate from KCA. She'll be here to let us know what this look like. And I have with me the green copy of the Finance Bill of 2024 as it was tabled in Parliament. We'll be going through some of those sections and how it affects you. And of course, what your feedback looks like and how you feel the pain will be at on your level. Later in the newspaper review section, Nick Mwadime Mwangi is making a comeback here and bringing along a Meru youth leader by the name of Faiza Gatwiri. Faiza Gatwiri will be joining Nick Mwadime Mwangi in that discussion, a panel that we'll be having here later to look at the headlines of the day and also what it looks like politically into the future. Welcome to Biashara Tuesday. There's going to be a lot of information from around the world in terms of business developments and also, of course, much more of global political conversations. This is hashtag Biashara Tuesday on all social platforms. Stay tuned to us and we'll be giving you updates in the roads, how that looks like, weather updates as well before we continue all the way to 10 a.m. Give us a shout out on all social media platforms. My name is Richard OKENYE. Enjoy, let's have fun. All right, so if you think you're the only one who's complaining about the condition of the economy or the condition of your car, the former president, or actually generally the richest family in the Republic of Kenya, the Kenyattas, are complaining that the government of the day is not taking into account their day-to-day affairs. They are given cars which are a Mercedes-Benz, a Range Rover, and a couple of other high-end vehicles, but their complaint is that these vehicles are old. Yeah, they are not new cars because they're supposed to be changed as regular as 3 years. Every 3 years, the former president and his family are supposed to have a new set of Range Rovers and Mercedes-Benz and whatnot in their fleet. Currently complaining, of course, that has brought quite some hit between that side and also the current government, back to back and forth in terms of who has been allocated what and who isn't getting what. If the president or the former president is complaining about his economic situation, saying that he has to foot all his bills through his own pocket, you can imagine what a common Kenyan is feeling like. He says that in the past financial year, his office was supposed to be allocated 500 million Kenyan shillings, but they only received 28 million Kenyan shillings, man. How can you survive with only 20? I pity the former president. But we'll be looking at that back and forth. Of course, the government is saying they have been doing everything as accordance to the rule of law, and the controller of budget is the accounts manager for that kind of financial situation. So we look at that, the financial discipline of the former president, and of course the financial discipline of the current government. All those discussions will be coming later on to you. But first, let's look at what the traffic updates are looking like in Nairobi. The transport conditions, hapa naambiwa, or a Kenyan asking, Vincent Awange, with a struggling economy, how do you close off one side of Mombasa Road without prior notice? Very inconveniencing. Kunaka, the situation at Mombasa Road hasn't been resolved for quite some time now. I think this has been happening since over the weekend. Let's know how that is looking like. Mahimahiu, also an accident from that side, few fatalities here reported by Mirror Reflection, letting us know, of course, and how to engage when we are out there on the roads. So Mahimahiu, that's on the way to Narok, Nakuru, Naivasha, those sides. Mombasa Road from Airtel to Imara Mall is a parking lot, moving very slowly. Parking lot along Uhuru Highway, heading towards GPO, been here for more than 20 minutes. So that's happening at Uhuru Highway. Kama unaingia town, hivyo ndo kuna kaa pale GPO, 20 minutes jamaa amekaa hapo. Je wewe, sembuse wewe. So kama unaingia town, avoid. 9 people killed in that accident from Maimahio town. the town of Cold Waters, I believe, if that translates correctly. The policeman at GPO should be transferred. Hafanyi kitu huko. Mambo imekwama na kutu. So yeah, that's the state of the sides of GPO Uhuru Highway. Heavy traffic jam currently being experienced along Juja Road towards town. Seek alternative routes. Alafu pia Kangundo Road akukai vizuri if you're heading towards Donholm, na pia on the Eastern Bypass kumeshikana sana. Southern Bypass watu wa Lang'ata na Karen mtafute route zingine, maybe T-Mall. Apparently kuna kaa sawa sides za T-Mall and the stadium, that is Nairobi Road anatuambia. So those sides of Mombasa Road, T-Mall, sides za Lang'ata Road, we have received updates. Kiambu Road, I'm not seeing anything, so which means it's moving very well, and therefore no one gets time to check their phones and give us an update. Thika Road, pia nothing else there, but Maimahio is where kuna accident. Maimahio, 9 people killed over there. So therefore, please stay safe on the roads and ensure that you are arriving alive. That's a message from us today here on Biashara Tuesday. Weather updates. Before I forget, this is how it looks like for you today and in the next few days. Just real quick to get that information for you from the Kenya Met Department. 15 degrees Celsius where I'm at, and it does feel like 15 degrees Celsius. It's actually pretty cold around here, and it's supposed to be as such until 12, when it's going to be sunny with highs of 23 degrees Celsius up to the evening. So kuna kaa sawa. Fret not, dress lightly. It's going to be warm in the afternoon. Only slight showers of rain in the night from 9 p.m. from 7 p.m. actually. And then tomorrow kuko sawa, Thursday kuko sawa. Friday, as you go out to party, the rain will also coming back, party after party, Friday, Saturday. And then Sunday, we are back to a sunny day, and then kick off a new week of summer. So that's the update to you in terms of weather. This is Biashara Tuesday. We're coming back with business and more updates from your world. Don't go too far. Thanks for joining us. All right, so if you are joining us again for the first time, we are streaming live on YouTube, KUTV Kenya. If you go on there and see the live stream on KUTV Kenya live, leave a comment, let us know where you are watching from and also who you'd like to shout out on this show. The conversations that are happening here this morning are going to mainly be centered around the finance bill of 2024. Public participation has been happening for the past few weeks. I have with me, as I said earlier, the green copy as it was tabled or as it was gazetted by the through the National Assembly Bills 2024 on the 9th of May this year. The Kenya Gazette supplement introduced into the National Assembly this finance bill of 2024. It is up for discussion on which of the provisions within these sections and subsections should make it to the Finance Act eventually when the president signs it into law. This morning we're discussing a couple of the articles that are here in the finance bill of 2024. Most of the contentious issues of the finance bill of this year are around one, the motor vehicle circulation tax, which is affecting, of course, all road users. As long as you own a car, no matter the worth of the car, that is a discussion that you need to be having on top, of course, of other levies that you have been paying in terms of insurance and anything else in importation of these vehicles. This is also likely to affect matatu drivers, matatu owners in general, and also the ride-hailing platforms which are there in the country. We're going to look at that. On Wednesday, they tabled their submission before the Budgetary Committee or the Committee for Finance and Planning in Parliament. They're saying that they will be likely moving away from this market if this taxation continues. Stakeholders are hoping that they are not just considered as an entry-level submission in public participation, but something of importance, given given that previously stakeholder input has not been put into consideration when it comes to the passing of these bills. That discussion we're having here as well, the role of public participation and whether or not this is taken into consideration when it comes to this process of the day. Other stakeholders within the Republic are calling for the government to institute a national tax policy which gives a framework and a guideline in terms of what taxes were added and on what year, so that suddenly we don't wake up next year and there's a new walking around tax. Or how do we prevent the government from effecting any other kind of punitive, or what the experts are now terming as punitive taxes? We are going to discuss that here this morning, plus many other, including of course those which have become VAT exempt, like bread, that is expected of course to affect households around the country. Cooking oil, which is also something that has been highlighted there. The shifting of what we term as a digital marketplace and who is taxed in terms of the services they are offering there. Significant economic presence tax, which is also affecting those international firms and of course corporations which are operating in the country and not necessarily having a physical presence, but as long as business is happening in the country, they're expected to pay 6% on top of the gross turnover tax, which they have been paying at 3%, plus corporate tax, which is there at 30% and likely to move to 35%. So there's a lot of taxes which are going to affect the businesses which are operating in the Republic, which are now threatening to move away. Kenya Federation of Employers are also crying and decrying the fact that this is expected to pinch further that payslip of the common Kenyan. What they're taking home is likely to reduce in the next few years. How do we prevent ourselves from falling into this trap of increased taxation and reduced revenue in terms of what is reflected at KRA? All these questions will be answered later on when I sit down here on this set, a conversation I am having with a finance expert of the day, someone who's well versed in matters of taxation and as well as accounting, a graduate of KCA, the Kenya College of Accountancy. Monica Wamushiru, a finance professional, will be joining me here on set. So don't go too far. That conversation is coming actually in just a short while. We'll begin with that, and then later on I'll invite Nick and Faiza Gatwiri for that newspaper review. But first, the finance bill of 2024. Join us for that conversation after this short break.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV.
Ni kaunti maarufu kwa kuzalisha maziwa na ukuzaji wa majani chai. Pia serikali ya kaunti inawahimiza wakulima kukumbatia mitindo mingine ya kilimo kuzidisha mapato.
Kama kuna kikundi moja inafanya biashara ya kuuza kuku, hao pia tumewafadhili kuwafunza jinsi ya kuhandle zile kuku kwa sababu wanaleta kwa wingi.
Haya yote tunakuletea katika Boresha Kilimo, toleo la kaunti ya Bomet.
Kilimo ni nguzo kubwa kwa ujenzi wa taifa.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
Folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepo pasi vuguvugu, pepo pa ni idea.
Sazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vilevile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, hiyo inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni Dunia ni leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
You need to look for high quality friends.
I'm from Kingston, Jamaica, you know Portmore. That's my village.
Kanga tu chini hapo ukinyethia ukikatia mademo akipita.
Naweza saa hii nimekuja kukopesa choo.
Lola is an app that gives you a chance to watch videos, listen to audios, and read articles wherever you are for free. Motivational stories, dramas, campus life, technology, lifestyle, adventure, sports, academics, jobs, entertainment, and more. Download Lola now on Play Store. All you need, you got Lola.
Lola ni programu inayokupa fursa ya kutizama video zozote pindi tu unapokuwa na nafasi. Hadithi za kukupa motisha, drama, maisha ya vyuo vikuu, teknolojia, masuala ya jamii, kuzuru maeneo tofauti, spoti, burudani na zaidi. Pata programu ya Lola sasa kwenye rununu yako kwa yote unayohitaji.
Kaunti maarufu kwa kuzalisha maziwa na ukuzaji wa majani chai. Pia, serikali ya kaunti inawahimiza wakulima kukumbatia mitindo mingine ya kilimo kuzidisha mapato.
Kama kuna kikundi moja inafanya biashara ya kuuza kuku, hao pia tumewafadhili kuwafunza jinsi ya kuhandle zile kuku kwa sababu wanaleta kwa wingi.
Haya yote tunakuletea katika Boresha Kilimo, toleo la kaunti ya Bomet.
Kilimo ni nguzo kubwa kwa ujenzi wa taifa.
KUTV Kenya is streaming live to you Biashara Tuesdays on, and when you are tweeting us or when you're tagging us or when you're commenting, please use the hashtag Rise Today, hashtag Biashara Tuesday. Maybe give you a few of what the headlines are looking like this morning. Pending bills nightmare as state allocates zero budget. That's what the Business Daily says here. Pending bills nightmare as states allocate zero budget. The Daily Nation, where is Uhuru's 1.1 billion funding? President Uhuru Kenyatta's was Uhuru versus Ruto. The fight is back, and who is going to win out of this? Is it a witch hunt or is it not? Uhuru turns to God in Ruto money fight. That's what the Standard is calling it. Also showing a picture of the former president there, touching or clenching his cheek here and wondering, of course, when will he get his 1.1 billion, or as he received his 1.1 billion. According to government spokesperson, there's nothing that's pending from that side. I see Dennis Kimani, who's joining us on the live stream, saying looking sharp, heading to Murang'a himself. Anasema gotea Nick tupatane site. Dennis Kimani, say hi to the people of Murang'a, and anasema tuambie Nick Mwadime wapatane site. I am guessing that Nick will also be heading towards the sides of Murang'a. He'll be here to let us know what is happening on those sides and how that development is going to look like politically. The Mount Kenya conversation is also a fight that is currently happening, Ruto versus DP Gachagua. Coming through to you right about now, in a short while, actually, is a conversation I'm going to be having with Monica Wamushiru, who is a finance professional. We're going to discuss the finance bill of 2024. The conversation here is on the latest provisions which are going to affect your payslip, going to affect your business, and going to affect the business of the economy in general. There are a couple of sections here which I'm very interested in having a look at. For example, as you can also be checking it out, is that section on eco levy and also motor vehicle tax, which has been a very great conversation or heated debate happening across the media spaces, online and offline as well. Personal tax and also other exemptions which have been given there. Some which were zero rated before, some goods are now not, and also exemptions, new exemptions in terms of the data protection law or the Data Protection Act, which is now will be giving KRA powers to collect information as much as they want in terms of trying to nab tax cheats. So which parts are going to affect you and which ones we should be most concerned about? Will our public participation be also put into consideration? What can we do to improve that process? Do we need a national tax policy to ensure we have a policy and framework to ensure that the government isn't imposing new taxes every other day? Those are some of the questions lingering in the minds of many Kenyans, and also some of them in my mind as well. We'll be tackling them in a short while. Give us your feedback across social platforms. I'll be right back. We are back now on air. If you are watching us on social platforms, this is the time for us to discuss the finance bill. You know, just having a look at it here with my guest of the day. We're just conversing, of course, what are those ones which are most of the most concern to Kenyans? Ni gani ambazo unafaa kuangalia? Because there's a lot here that we will speak about. I am going to allow Miss Monica Wamushiru to be the guide for us for this conversation, to let us know, of course, which parts as a finance professional she has had a look at, and the ones that she will point out to Kenyans to be very keen on in following up, of course, as the conversation continues in the halls of Parliament. But before we get into all of that conversation and details, grab yourself a copy of the finance bill. It was already gazetted. You can find the copy online. I'm sure there's also a couple of publications across in the media space so that you can also follow along. Mali unaona kitu, una highlight pale, unatuma text ama unaacha comment, alafu unatuambia hii watu wangu inani affect aje na nita avoid namna gani mambo kama haya, and any other conversations or concerns that you have, we'll be handling them. Let me allow Miss Monica to introduce herself to our viewers here. For those who are watching you here for the first time, I think my audience is watching you for the first time on this show. Please introduce yourself, and then you can let us know your general first overview and thoughts on the current finance bill.
Thank you, Richard, for having me. As you've already said, my name is Monica. I'm the finance lead consultant at... Happy to be the heart of the matter. We're hoping patient that has been going on for the given the trend of the past few years. Yeah. Still been doing public participation. In 2023 we did the same thing, and the bill was
8% people said no.
Yeah, and the bill was passed mostly as it was. So let's see how this year is going to be. I do not expect, honestly, that they will take into consideration so much of what Kenyans have said. Yeah. But I also understand there are external factors, especially debt, that Treasury is grappling with. So, and the conditions that the debt has come with, that we have to meet, or we signed off that we will meet. And those we've seen them come strongly in the Finance Bill 2024. So as much as Kenyans are like, we don't want this, we don't want that, there's a very big chance, because we've already taken on the conditions and the debt, we may not see Parliament actually taking the views on. Right.
Off the chart though, before we get into the details, isn't that a very big kind of hope to have, given, where does that leave me as a Kenyan when I think about that? I participated last year, I told them I don't want this, I don't want that, and then now we are here back again. Where does that leave me?
It's actually very frustrating for especially the consumer, because most of these costs will be burdened to the consumer. So if I am a manufacturer, if I'm a business person, if there's any extra tax that has been levied on me, I'll most probably just pass it on to my buyer. So the consumer is at pains here, and I would say they're left with almost no choice but to carry that burden, because as an individual, I cannot say that. So if I take bread every morning, I have no capacity to say now I'm not going to buy the bread for the new price. Me alone at home, I'm just going to go to the shop and I'll have no option than to buy the bread at the new price. But Parliament is the one that is supposed to protect Kenyans from this. They've not done so well considering the past, but again, as I've said, there are also factors, external factors that are they're not way beyond, because they were still approved by Parliament. So even the debt was approved by Parliament. They knew the conditions and they still approved. So
we just have to wait and see if it's taken into consideration. But just maybe to make it clear, I am not discouraging public participation, because I hope that the more we do it, of course, this brings awareness to more of the populace and citizens, and eventually this will yield results. I mean, that persistent push to Parliament to show them that Kenyans are aware of what is going on, and we're in touch with the financial happenings of the Republic. As of 1st July 2024 is when this bill will be assented into an act of parliament, and if passed into law as currently presented, most of these proposals are going to have different effects. Some of them are going to be effective as of 1st July 2024. One of those is going to be the motor vehicle circulation tax at 2.5%, affecting the gross value of your car. That's how it's calculated annually, and many other, of course, which are provided here that we'll be getting into. Before that, let's get an executive summary from you on you having a rough look at the finance bill of this year. And of course, coming from what has been there last year, some of these have been adjusted upwards. For example, that DST at 1.5% is now being moved to 3%. We have that eco levy, which was last year at 3.5, now back to 2. This is actually the tax rate on income on non-resident transport operator, moved from 3% back to 2.5, and then we're back again. A lot of changes. You're looking at it roughly. What is your executive summary from where you sit at?
So I can say that the worst hit people, so let's break it down. If we're talking about income tax for individuals, that's pay as you earn. If you're salaried, there's a proposal that states that the new social hospital insurance fund, that is SHF and NSSF, the new rates, they're not going to be income tax deductible. So that's a little, I think it's one good thing we can say, because the taxable income for an individual who is salaried is going to be a little lower. But then now look at the big picture. What percentage of Kenyans are salaried? Because most of them are informal. So this does not affect a very big chunk of Kenyans. Okay, when you're talking about income tax that's corporate, we say, that's VAT. Let's look at VAT. We see some items that were exempted, that these items are actually items that are used day by day to Kenyans. I say, for example, bread. That's a staple food, I can say, has become now 16%. Even you've just mentioned air operators, as you just stated. So there's a provision that has purchase of aircrafts. I deal a lot in the aviation industry, so I know that a change from an exempt status to a 16% vertable status is a big change for air operators. So, and that would mean that some of the net effect would be you're not competitive in the region, in the sense of why would somebody not go to Uganda or Tanzania to carry out their air operation business. When you're looking at excise duty, the worst hit industry is manufacturing. Now, because of the newly introduced rates, which are higher first, we have sugar, we have alcohol, we have the one that has really hit Kenyans a lot is the diapers, because the diapers are under eco levy, but there's also an excise tax on them. Packaging of plastics, we use a lot of plastic for packaging materials. Like every day you handle a packaging material
that has plastic.
That has plastic in it. So if you introduce 16% and you introduce excise duty on it, that is just it is disincentivizing the manufacturing industry. For eco levy, there's a whole list. First, the problem I would have with eco levy is we are not yet even over the implementation of the export promotion levy, because that is what has been changed to eco levy. Guys are not even fully aware what was going on in the 2023 finance bill. Then there's again a significant change under eco levy, which has been introduced.
So you're saying this is what was the export and investment promotion levy?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's like they're now removing that and putting in the eco levy, which is
1 year later.
1 year later.
That's
so
surprising.
Now, if anyone wants to set base in Kenya as a manufacturing as a manufacturer, then you will think that the landscape of the taxation regime is so unpredictable, which is also a big loss for us, because you wouldn't even be able to advise somebody. Somebody comes to me and tells me, I want to set base somewhere. Tell me, I want to set base in Kenya. Give me a financial advisory. What is the projection for the next 3 years in tax liability? Yes, I'm likely to mislead them, because what will happen 1 year down the line? Some other levy, some other miscellaneous under the Miscellaneous Tax Act may change. So that is one of the biggest problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So here's a question, and it's in the minds of very many Kenyans in terms of the balance. When you look at how this has been spread, we, as you said, the most affected will be one, the taxes which are going to be passed down to household commodities, and then of course anyone else who's outside the pay slip, because most of us aren't salaried in terms of the general population. Rich versus poor, who's going to be affected the most from the finance bill of 2024?
Actually, for once, I have seen that there's one under income tax. I've seen that they have removed the exemption on family trusts, because that was previously a tax exempt. I think that's the only thing I can say has directly impacted the bracket, I would say.
That's called rich.
It's called rich. But otherwise, every other thing would boil down to the consumer at the bottom of the pyramid, because every other cost will be passed. Again, the rich are the ones who own the businesses.
Yes.
So as a business person, I'll definitely pass down that cost.
Not be the one to incur that cost.
If it's VAT, I'll definitely charge it. If everything.
I think then that's how that conversation should be had, because when you look at how our political class presents this to a normal Kenyan, it's watu wako na magari na wenye wako na payslips ndio wana complain about the taxation. But when you have a look at all of this, the implications that it has, even in importation, which I don't think we have mentioned there, the taxation that is going to be there, the implications on technology products, smartphones, telecommunication equipment, computing devices, and also that move of from DST to SEP tax.
There's also that. So we are moving from 1.5% in digital tax services to they're going to be 6% effective tax rate. So again, that is also a bit, because we already had the framework for digital service tax, and guys are barely starting to get used to this. Now, what the new introduction, it's in two ways. It's affecting to the owner of the digital platform and the one who is running their business on the digital platform. So the owner of the digital platform is actually now supposed to pay corporate tax of 30% on a certain, they've said 20% of the deemed taxable income. So that is on the owner of the digital platform.
Okay.
Now, and you who is running your business on the digital platform, and remember they've like expanded that tax base to, freelance professionals.
Yes, I had a list here. As you say, let me just fetch it and then I'll read it out.
Yeah. So they've expanded that bracket. It's now any service or product that is being facilitated by a digital platform. So as long as that income is being deemed to be obviously Kenyan, and then you're getting it through that digital platform again, now that the owner of the platform will withhold tax on your income 20%. So that is also now. So if I have a channel and I monetize it, I'm supposed to get, so the holder, the platform that
I am using
to run the channel will withhold
that amount
20%
of my money.
Oh yes, So you say it's actually 5% for residents, 20% for non-residents. So It's not. It has held every corner, like that's the digital economy where most young guys are
in that gig economy. Yes.
Yeah,
Let me just read through the digital marketplace there, and it says the bill seeks to amend the definition of digital marketplace for purposes of determining income which deemed to be accrued or derived from Kenya to mean an online or electronic platform that enables a person to sell or provide goods, property or services, including ride-hailing services, food delivery services, freelance services, professional services, rental services, task-based services, any other service that is not exempt from tax under the Income Tax Act. Would you say that this is because the government has recently been seeing young people wakiguzaguza wanafinya computer, pesa inatoka, and
I think so. So you see, when the people who are under Ajira Digital, now they're no longer being covered by there was a provision for exempting them from tax. So hata wao
they have to submit taxes under this section.
Yeah, so I would understand the government's effort to try and have more to try and generate more revenue. Are they fair? That will be the question.
But the question of fairness will arise where the government looks at this, sits at State House and looks at it and says, Netflix, they make so much money.
Yeah.
Spotify, they make so much money. Uber makes so much money. Why do they not want to pay just 6% of it? It will be a good way for them to raise revenue.
Yeah.
So are they allowed to do this? Is this something that should allow the government in terms of trying to patch that gap that KRA has been unable to fill in collection?
Yeah, if they get income from Kenya, then even if they're not permanently established, I believe they should pay some level of tax, some amount of tax to the government. But now the collective issue is, eventually when we pay the tax, do we see the benefits of paying tax?
Yes.
Because as much as we're reaching to the point of where the Kenyan population is feeling too burdened with tax, where there's always that tipping point where the more you tax, the more people become disincentivized. So all your efforts now start bringing in. It becomes counterintuitive. So you try to bring more revenue, you try to tax more, but because the people are not first feeling like their tax is used properly, second, the economy is not doing very well, third, there's no economic growth as you would expect, or rather the economic growth, the numbers we're being given, we're not seeing them because we're being told the economy is growing at a rate of 5.6. But then if you ask me, are you growing by a rate of 5.6? I'm like, no, I'm not.
I don't think so, because even the cost of commodities as compared to, let's say, 10 years ago has dropped, or inflation, the cost of commodities has gone up by around 30% for most of them. So when we're told 5.5, 5.6, it raises a few questions.
I cannot relate to that figure at all, and most Kenyans cannot. So now then you tell me you would like to tax me a little bit more, then I feel like...
So we're going to head to 22% eventually, according to what President William Ruto is saying. And now we are at 14%. We're complaining at 14%, and we have 8 more to go. How would your financial outlook look like when we come to discuss the finance bill of 2025?
Wow. I think that they should at least sit down a little. I think the strategy should be you grow an economy and let the money come.
Okay.
Not you tax it to grow it. You don't tax it to grow it. You stimulate it. You provide a good environment. You create good policy. Then it grows. Because anyway, a country's economy is not driven by government. It's public. It's private sector. It's I who will put up a business. It's you who will put up a business and employ some people. It's I who will put up a business, and government can only do so much. It has a cap in terms of how much people it can employ, how much it can. But if we create a good environment, we can have 10 more people starting a business, and then that is how you get economic growth. Then if 10 more people start a business, then you can collect income tax from 10 more people, which then grows your tax and revenue. Exactly. It's that, or you grow your tax base, that is bring in the informal sector. So I think they have tried to do that with e-teams. They're calling it the hard to tax sector.
The informal sector that hasn't previously been reached. Yes, there's a lot of money circulating there. Is that something that's true? Is that a true outlook? That there's money lost in the informal sector?
It is. Yeah, it's true. Honestly, it's true. So, but how they're going about it, I feel like e-teams is a bit too complicated. I think you should make it as simple as possible. First, simplify the tax regime. Let it be known that everyone who has an income of below, say 3 million per annum, you're paying turnover tax of, say, 1%. Okay? So let that be constant. Let it, don't change it, don't fluctuate it, and then let the method of payment be as simple as possible. It should be like almost like the way you dial to buy airtime. Like 5 minutes, you're done.
You should be done. Yes. Rather than the whole process of eCitizen.kra.
Because that is the only way the informal sector can come in.
So you've mentioned that there's fluctuations in terms of how this is applied, where it is applied, and experts are saying that it is time we had a national tax policy. First, we have one, and how does it look like, and if it was to be better, so that eventually we don't, next year again, significant economic presence tax is changed to something else. Enjoyment tax at 10%. Or something else. How do we ensure we have a framework that guards Kenyans against that kind of fluctuation?
So surprisingly, we do have a national tax policy.
Oh, okay.
It was enacted in December 2023. It was actually enacted, but it has not been implemented.
Okay.
Like even say when you look at the tax bill right now, it has not really aligned to the national tax policy. So the national tax policy, for example, when it comes to excise duty, it recommends that we have specified rates, and these rates are supposed to be revised after, is it 3 years or 5 years? So it gives a duration, a specific duration where you're not supposed, you retain the rates of excise duty for the different products for either, you can only revise them after 3 years, or I think I don't know if it's 3 or 5, one of those. So then that gives some kind of predictability.
Yes.
Okay. Now when it comes to, say, pension, excuse me, again, the national tax policy has given a framework for taxing pension. So currently we are in the we allow for pensionable deductions, like they are tax deductible, but and then we allow for pension income to the fund, exempt, but at the point of withdrawing there's a tax.
That's where you are taxed when you're coming to get it.
So they're trying to introduce a system for where people can, it remains exempt at the point of paying, exempt for pension income, exempt at the so that there's no issue of when I need the money most, that's when you're taxing me, like, and I'm already retired. So it is harmonizing those issues, even in terms of corporate tax, in terms of VAT, the administration. So yes, we actually do have.
So when you say it is not being enacted, is it that they are ignoring it, or what is it that is happening there? I thought a national tax policy is something that is
followed. Yeah, because when you look at the finance bill and you look at what the national tax policy is, they are not in. There's most of the things are not in tandem.
Yes.
You wouldn't say, because then we have, like, from 2023 to 2024, we've fluctuated from so many levies and taxes. Well, the national tax policy recommends that we at least we stick to one and revise it to say after 3 years or after 5 years. So those are some of the things
that have not been followed through. Right. Those are very great or blatant disregards if you put in that they are not considering the opinions of stakeholders, the public participation of Kenyans, the provision in the national tax policy. It seems then that the finance bill is something that the results have already been predetermined. That is the kind of outlook when I interact with this, given from last year and now at this point where again the investors, the stakeholders are crying that when it comes to tax policy matters, our opinion should really count. And we have experts for all these things. My producer keeps reminding me that some of the suggestions that we give here are really simple, are too simple. Why are we doing the work of experts who are paid billions of Kenyan shillings at State House to advise the presidents on this? Let's talk about financial transactions, which are something that Kenyans are also concerned about. How does that look like in the new finance bill? Pesa yangu, there is a very comical comment here that it will be easier if you are sending someone 100,000 Kenyan shillings to buy a SIM card, deposit the money, send the SIM card to them, na umwambie pin. And there we withdraw kwa sababu it's way easier and cheaper that way. How does it look like?
So currently we just pay 15% excise duty to transfer money in the banks and on our transactions. So, but in the new finance bill, they're proposing to first increase excise duty from 15% to 20%. So that's an increase already by 5. All right, and then there's a proposal to now introduce VAT again. So that is, I would say, double taxation, for lack of a better word, because you're paying excess duty of now 20%, and then there will be an extra 16% on the transactions. Now, that will be like ludicrous to say the least, because the banks are one of those institutions where you need people to be there constantly first to grow their capital. Okay, the bank is one of those places where you need to be using, you need to have your money pass through so that even your own capacity for growth in terms of loans and for businesses also to grow. Now, what does this do to an individual consumer? So like now, just today I have made about 5 M-Pesa payments just today since I woke up.
Just to get here.
Just to get here. So imagine the transaction fees I've paid. Now imagine they will increase excess duty on that and then VAT on top of that. Now, as a consumer who pays small things on the spot, and mostly is mobile money or bank, like transfer bank to till or bank to pay bill or bank to a number. Now that is going to be really expensive in terms of just the bank charges. What does this do to the economy? This slows us down in terms of I'll not want to use the bank anymore. So less transactions, less growth for the bank. What does that do to the bank? Less volume of transaction means less income for the bank, and therefore less also tax
that there are some,
so for the bank,
the less amount of money they are putting in the central bank, and and
it's
that's
just one big cycle of
all right. That looks very grim, and we are hoping, of course, that our recommendations are going to be taken into consideration. I was going to look at the positives. Are there any positives out of the finance bill? Are there people who will celebrate? For example, in terms of per diems, I saw that there's a change that accommodates much more. Are there any other positives including that?
The only other positive, okay, maybe not the only other, the one I would mention is to telecommunications. When you are acquiring your license, there's an investment deduction that has been introduced, so you can pay over 10% over the period of 10 years. So it's been recognized as a capital investment. the cost of the license. So that's good for
what does that mean for me as a Kenyan who had 3 very strong terms there?
So it's no longer like an expense. It's the same way you amortize an asset. So you can amortize it over a period of 10 years. So the cost of the license, you can amortize it over a period of 10 years.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that amortization will be an allowable deduction when you're computing your
That's the one positive one that you can pick out as the most outstanding.
Yeah, yes. For telecommunications.
All right. Kwa wale ambao wanapenda kukula, the bill proposes to change the tax exempt portion of the per diem from the first 2,000 per day to no more than 5% of the monthly gross earnings of an employee. This is how it looks like in terms of non-cash benefits. It proposes an increase from 36,000 to 48,000 as the limit on non-cash benefits provided to employees. In terms of meals, it increases the exempt value of meal benefit from 48,000 to 60,000 per employee. The meal should be provided in a canteen or a cafeteria established by the employer. Yes, so yeah, I guess you're happy for your lunch or something of that nature. Recommendations from your seat as a finance professional. You've already hinted, of course, on how it will look like if the government approached the expansion of the tax base differently in terms of investing in the people who are already of course hard to reach, as you said, and also ensuring that the pay slip is growing so that I have more to pay and more to spend. What are the recommendations as they go into trying to pass this finance bill?
So my recommendations will take several ways. So first, you do know that I think Treasury is a little bit under pressure to raise funds. So that's why we can say that they're trying every avenue. I think most of the pressure is coming from debt. So this is more of a mid-term to long-term strategy. Try and restructure the debt. Okay. That will be number one. And then number two is at least don't let the same dog bite you twice. In terms of don't get into the same stringent debts again. Like hopefully we get out of this unscathed. So just don't get into it again. But thirdly is again going back to debt. If you look at the debt structure, right now we are about 10 trillion in debt. So 50% is external, 50% internal. So when I'm looking at 50% internal borrowings from banks, that means banks would rather
give the government money
than
citizens. Right.
So what does that do to me as an investor or as a business owner? I don't get the credit I need. I don't get the capital I need. I'm not able to expand. So maybe it should look to incentivizing the banks to actually work with the citizens, because that is those are the only institutions currently that have the muscle to actually stimulate the economy in terms of injecting money into the economy. It's the banks right now, because the government is...
So the banks should put money in our pocket rather than put money in the government's pocket so that we spend.
But again, it goes back to the government to opt not to borrow from the bank, because if the bank would rather go to government,
it will always go to government.
Like as a first choice. So at least try and make a balance between banks so that banks can be able to go back and give private sector and at least government. So that is in terms of debt, but also in terms of just fiscal discipline. So why are we in so much debt? It's because we've been having budget deficits 1 year after another. So accumulation of this that's how we go to the 10 trillion, because we always have budget deficits, which are big. By the time we are on the third supplementary budget, it's like we've gone to right now we are saying we are at 300 deficit, and then by the end of the fiscal year it will be a whole other figure. So fiscal deficit, even right now.
Does our financial discipline mean how the government is spending or how it's budgeting? Do we need a lean budget, a tighter budget?
First, we need a way leaner budget. But then again, I looked at the budget on the Treasury website. And if I was a member of parliament, I would also not be able to point out the areas of cut out. Why? Because the way as it is, literally you wouldn't be able, the devil is in the details. So if I cannot zoom in and see, if there's a, say, hospitality and what, services, whatever. Say there's that budget line for, and it's a couple of billions, I cannot zoom in and say,
this is what hospitality means, and this is how much per item.
This is going to this state department, is going to this county. So let's cut this county by half. Let's cut that state department by half. You know, so the devil in budgeting, the devil is always in the details. And if I'm not able to zoom in, because members of parliament will not go through a 5,000-page document.
Definitely. Yes.
So they're also not able to tell where to cut. Okay, they can't zoom in and say, I can cut, say, fuel in Narok County. So, you know, they can't tell.
They can't get the details.
And those are the details they would need to be able to make the budget lean.
Okay.
So those are some of the proposals I'll give for Kenyans. I'll tell them, just brace yourself.
July 1st is coming. Yes.
Brace yourself for more tax. I'd say be in compliance. Because then if you're not in compliance, the penalties are way worse. I'd also say that try and have several income streams. This is purely consumer to consumer.
It's not easy given that investors are leaving the country. My current one income is it's going away. So.
So for consumers, get best alternatives to be able to maintain your lifestyle currently.
So if you're eating bread, move to yams and
probably
and that. Okay, if you don't want to use Netflix, Gujara.org. Okay, let me not. But those are alternatives that you can be looking at to try and as you wait for several streams of income. I'll give you a breather so that when you're signing off, you have more energy to give us a final recommendation or maybe as your final word. And outlook on the finance bill. Let me read a few comments though. Jam 2 Peter says, I swear to God, I will not buy a bread at exaggerated prices after the assenting of the finance bill 2024. Man shall not live on bread alone. Tutakula ugali na mihogo. Ruto hapana jaribu sisi. Hapana jaribu, right? Mugeni na Bwire, tough times indeed. Looking forward for the newspaper review segment. Tuned in from Thika. Jilo Mamu anasema hizi taxes zinatumaliza. Locked in all the way from Kiambu. Enzi Ganzel, finance bill exacerbates, come on, where we will bring dictionary tax in the next finance bill. Ukiendelea hivi. Finance bill exacerbates financial strain on Kenyan citizens, and on the other hand, I also feel there is a skepticism about whether the funds to be generated through taxation will be used effectively. So that's that concern on the fiscal discipline of the Republic. Bilhan Kimathi, what a terrific show. Mumbi wa Muhu, asema great show. Trevor Totona, OKENYE, great show watching nikiwa Maland. Rit Gatkuoth anasema the show Biashara Tuesday is good. It's good, thank you. Also let us know where you're watching this from. So that is what we have been having a look at in terms of course, the finance bill of 2024. Get yourself a copy of that, and also alongside, you can have a look at the national tax policy. It's a document that you can Google and find. I have mine here, the draft on what that looks like, the rationale of the national tax policy. To achieve the country's development agenda, we need to have resource mobilization and also discussions around the financial happenings. What is the government planning, and what will they be passing on to in terms of law? 1st July 2024 is when you can expect this to be the Finance Act of 2024. Edgar Ndege anasema, does the government consider the law of unintended consequences? Ama we are staggering towards a 22% average tax rate, hoping we get there safe and sound. What will you react to that from Edgar Ndege? Does the government consider the law of unintended consequences? We are staggering towards the 22% average tax rate, hoping we get there safe and sound. Will we even get there?
I don't think we'll be scathed, definitely. And yes, we are getting to the point of where we'll get unintended consequences, where you wanted to raise more revenue, but you actually get less. Because people will find,
other ways of
investors will pack and leave, or like for example, if you're a manufacturer, you'd rather set base in Uganda or Tanzania and then just import because of zero duty, because of EAC.
Yes.
So what does that happen? What does that do to employment in Kenya?
Less jobs and much more effects.
Exactly.
That you can't wait to not see. We can't wait to not see, because I don't see that happening. Thank you very much, Monica, for creating time for us here this morning. So this is tax month. I hope you're encouraging people to still, be tax compliant regardless. Taxes are a good thing. It's a good thing to pay taxes. The question is, as of course someone here pointed out, is my money being used to the best of what it's supposed to be allocated for? We'll continue that conversation in the newspaper review section later on. We'll highlight, of course, what the stakeholders have been able to table to Parliament, and what Parliament is saying through their chairman, Kuria Kimani, the Member of Parliament, who's chairing that Planning and Finance Committee of Parliament. But that is as much as we had here. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Any final words and recommendation to the taxpayer and to the government? This is your chance.
I think make it as easy, straightforward, less complicated as possible. Don't fluctuate so much in your tax regime. Make it predictable, and just concentrate on growing the economy. You don't kill the goose that lays the egg. How will you get the egg? So just preserve the goose, and then the egg will come.
Yes, and the egg will come.
Yes.
So it's the egg after the chicken, or chicken before the egg.
This time the goose needs to be alive to lay the egg.
Yes, earlier we had pointed out the public participation. Last year, 78% Kenyans said no to the finance bill of 2023. Alafu tukambiwa jokes on you, because it's now the Finance Act of 2023. Should we continue participating? I had said that ni vizuri to keep applying that pressure, but pia ku give up ni option. I have enough towels to throw in. So
okay. No. Kenyans should not give up. Actually, I think this year has more have participated in terms of, when you look at the awareness of what's in the finance bill, more people are aware, more people are actually aware of the position and how the tax will affect them in their various industries, not just the key players. You just used to see key players, experts. This time when the consumer knows something, this one will touch me, that means awareness is growing so much compared even to last year. So Kenyans should not give up. They should make their views known to governments and to their representatives. I hope your members of Parliament listen, so that when they go to Parliament, you don't have the same, tyranny of numbers going on. I hope they actually stick to, this bill does not work for my people, so let me say no, regardless of the political pressures in Parliament. Because again, when it goes to Parliament, it becomes a political process, as opposed to, just
debating the facts. Yes.
So we hope it won't go that way this time around.
It does not become a political conversation in the halls of Parliament. So keep reading and keep informing people. Pia ukipatana na mama mboga, unashika tu hiyo mboga unamwambia hii tax yake imefika hapa na hapa, so that everyone of us is aware. Yule who will be closest to your representative atamwambia jana watu walikuwa naongea wakasema hiyo bill haiwezi, kama utafanya hivi na hivi inamaanisha next year we come to and recall you from Parliament. And that is a conversation I'll pick up with Nick Mwadime Mwangi, the political side of it. Of course, it's important to have a look at that and how it will be handled in Parliament. The National Assembly, which will be debating that in a few, and then also presenting it to the President by 1st July 2024. Nick Mwadime Mwangi is the National Executive Director of the Mount Kenya University and Colleges Students Association. He is here alongside Faiza Gatwiri, who's a youth leader from Meru and a journalist. Her prowess and journalism will be very valued, and the input she will give in terms of the happenings of the day and a continued discussion on the finance bill. So if you had questions we didn't answer here, leave them in that comment section. Tukirudi, we'll also handle them and your reactions. So don't go too far. Biashara Tuesday. We'll be right back.
They are powerful and influential. They make decisions in politics, education, finance, agriculture, health, sports, and all aspects of human life. But the impact of their decisions falls on you, the common citizen. KUTV Primetime News Thursday. We ask bold questions and pursue answers to the core to bring you closer to the story. We couldn't have it any other way. Join me, Auma Evans, as I raise matters of social concern to raise your voice from the background to the foreground. Every Thursday and Saturday at 9 p.m. only on KUTV.
Ni kaunti maarufu kwa kuzalisha maziwa na ukuzaji wa majani chai. Pia, serikali ya kaunti inawahimiza wakulima kukumbatia mitindo mingine ya kilimo kuzidisha mapato.
Kama kuna kikundi moja inafanya biashara ya kuuza kuku, hao pia tumewafadhili kuwafunza jinsi ya kuhandle zile kuku kwa sababu wanaleta kwa wingi.
Haya yote tunakuletea katika Boresha Kilimo, toleo la kaunti ya Bomet.
Kilimo ni nguzo kubwa kwa ujenzi wa taifa.
Lola is an app that gives you a chance to watch videos, listen to audios, and read articles wherever you are for free. Motivational stories, dramas, campus life, technology, lifestyle, adventure, sports, academics, jobs, entertainment, and more. Download Lola now on Play Store. All you need, you got Lola.
Lola ni programu inayokupa fursa ya kutizama video zozote pindi tu unapokuwa na nafasi. Hadithi za kukupa motisha, drama, maisha ya vyuo vikuu, teknolojia, masuala ya jamii, kuzuru maeneo tofauti, spoti, burudani na zaidi. Pata programu ya Lola sasa kwenye rununu yako kwa yote unayohitaji.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. Women, young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. Not forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient, and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back to the iconic days to bring you the retro tech. On Technovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one for all. Every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day. Only on KUTV, a new experience.
Tunachimba hadi mizizi kukuletea yanayojiri.
So mimi naomba tu serikali yetu ya Mungu ibarikiwe na Mungu iweze kuteremsha bei ya mafuta
Yanayokukumba tuna maizi, tunakutetea sisiri. Ukweli ni spesheli tukikupambia makala ya mwanamke mwake. Utasema hupendi mizizi ya habari. Nami Caroline Kimwe.
What are some of the ways through which you can develop these skills so that you are comfortably fitting into the job?
You have to put yourself in positions where you are uncomfortable. Uncomfortable in the sense that you are not clear about what to do.
Because I used to work a corporate job before. So when I left, I happened to visit someone's farm around this area.
So this project is called the Security Breach Detector and Readiness Familiarize. It is meant to be used to detect, detonate explosives.
We'll tackle all the tough issues, discuss all the weird moments, and hopefully share a few laughs along the way.
They are powerful and influential. They make decisions in politics, education, finance, agriculture, health, sports, and all aspects of human life. But the impact of their decisions falls on you, the common citizen. KUTV Primetime News Thursday. We ask bold questions and pursue answers to the core to bring you closer to the story. We couldn't have it any other way. Join me, Auma Evans, as I raise matters of social concern to raise your voice from the background to the foreground. Every Thursday and Saturday at 9 p.m. only on KUTV.
From the hospital corridors, we bring you experts to discuss issues affecting your health, from diet to mental health. The familiar and the ignored are both put into perspective. We then dive into the environment and look at the effects of climate change and its solutions. Join me, Mutegi K. Martin, every Friday at 9 p.m. as we learn on how to better our health while taking care of our environment. Only on KUTV.
You have to fight harder because those who should be supporting you are also fighting you. Amka ukazane, waseme walisema. So sometimes you have to fight harder because those who should be supporting you are also fighting you. Yeah, think about that. The Standard here this morning says Uhuru turns to God in Ruto money fight, asking God to save us all. Former president says he has been forced to foot his own bills contrary to the law. And he wonders why State House has not remitted money to his office, yet it is in the budget, right? Here is a picture of former President Uhuru Kenyatta not looking so happy as he stares into the distance. And anauliza, why are we lacking access to our rightful budget allocation as has been provided for former presidents? That's the Standard. And on top at the Standard are other stories which are in their secondary schools which are likely to lose 20 billion thanks to CBC, because now Form 1 will not be in there. They are not receiving that money. So what happens? It's a good system, or is it not? There's new systems of education, but there's less money to these schools. What happens then? Macron, big gamble on snap polls. Focus now on flood effects in mini budget, and starlets are back in the country, inches away from glory. That's the Standard. The Daily Nation has here again President Uhuru Kenyatta. Where is Uhuru's 1.1 billion shillings? That's the question. Former Uhuru Kenyatta demanded to know the whereabouts of funds allocated to his office in the past 2 financial years. That is the front of the Daily Nation. State House has denied allegation by Kenyatta's office. That's a big Q. And the Daily Nation is showing JSS tutors who have been sacked 2 days after calling off the strike. Thousands of junior school teachers on contract have been sent home 2 days after calling off their strike. That's the Daily Nation. I'm handling this with Nick Modime Mwangi, the National Executive Director of KUSA, and alongside is Gatwiri, who is a youth leader from Meru County, where the president will be visiting later this week before he heads out to his office, his international office in Italy. I will let the guests introduce themselves, and then we get onto the details of the day. I'll start from my far end where Nick Modime Mwangi is sitting. It's a blue morning, by the way, because I noticed we are all in blue, one way or another.
I think una force issues.
Una force issues. I mean lazima tukue pamoja man. Haya mwezi nilikatia nje.
Good morning, Richard.
Good morning to you, bro.
It's good to be back.
Welcome back.
The people of Roysambu are still sending me here. They're telling me the guy there may feature white.
Feature white?
Yes, from Sunday. They're saying that since he decided to wear white, I'm a feature white.
I see.
So, my name is Nick Modime Mwangi. I'm the National Executive Director at KUSA. KUSA is Mount Kenya Colleges and Student Association. I'm also the chairman of Nairobi County Youth League. And particularly, I want to say good morning to the people of Roysambu.
Yeah.
Good morning to the people of KUSA, and also my good friend Chris Pantinyari, all the way from Roysambu constituency. Wanasema tuendelee hivyo hivyo.
Kabisa.
Yes.
Help me to introduce our guest here. Wewe ndio umetuletea guest.
You know, KUSA is all over. We are devolved within the 11 counties of Mount Kenya. And recently you saw I brought Dorcas Kagendo all the way from Tarakaniti.
Yes.
Leo I've come with a lady all the way from Meru County. And you see the situation, right? You're very happy.
Nick, come on. Welcome.
You see the situation, right? Yeah,
welcome to the show.
She's an amazing leader, and I think she's going to say much about herself.
Okay.
And I think that's a better introduction, right?
Thank you, man. You've done justice to that. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Please introduce yourself to our viewers here. First time showing up on Biashara Tuesday. We're very glad to have you. And utupatie greetings from the people of Meru.
So guys, my name is Faiza Gatwiri. I'm from Meru. I've been sent by the people from Meru. Also, people from Isili, they are complaining because of finance bill. Yeah, every day things are rising. In matters of, I do know that those people are basically all about Biashara. They are doing business. So every day they are complaining on how their pricing are just shooting.
Yes.
So there are many of their clients are in a bunch of, like, they're diverting their ways from shopping with them.
Right.
Yes.
It's going to be very tough, especially for Miraa drivers from Meru because of that motor vehicle tax.
Yes.
Yeah, hizo Probox Bay inapanda sasa. Also, there's a recent conversation on the ban of Mogoka and Miraa from the side of where you come from. Yes. How do you, what's your reaction to that whole conversation? You know, people from the coastal regions, the governments are saying, hii inaharibu vijana wetu. But tukiangalia Meru, watu wako sawa, wame relax.
People are not okay in Meru because since the thing with Mogoka and Miraa, because personally I've been raised by Miraa because this is the very money has brought me to where I am.
Yes.
Schooling and anything
It's a
with
very big
business.
economy.
Yes, it's a very big economy for us.
Okay. Hopefully that, of course, everyone else has that same opinion. Ama tutaona a counter banning. I don't know if Meru will ban deras from the coast to ensure we have that balance.
You know the governor of Meru County,
Kawira Mwangaza,
my good governor, came out and said Mabuyu.
Mabuyu
is banned.
Is banned in that side.
So I was just asking myself, what is exactly are the people of Meru mumunyari?
What are the tools, or is it a tools?
Yes, what are the tools
they are using?
In that same regards, you know, my in-laws are coming from Meru and Embu County, and I know Richard. There are so many ways to do these issues.
Yes.
To me, I feel that this issue was really taken out of context. It was too rushed because I've thought about this issue of Mogoka and Mira. The issue of Mogoka and Mira. Why was it so sudden? Right? Why did you not give a room for dialogue?
Yes.
Why did the business community not meet and discuss this issue of why Mogoka, according to the people of Mombasa, is affecting them?
Yes.
If they're complaining about the issues of Mogoka and Mira affecting mosques, churches, and these prayer issues, right? Then let them also complain on the issue of cocaine.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the same things are also peddled within churches, mosques, within the county.
Heroin.
Yeah. And we are saying, as a people of the mountain, that our students, our people, and our farmers are very upset because these issues, as you have heard my good friend and a leader from Meru saying that Mira and Mogoka has been used to take children to school. Mira and Mogoka is a cash crop. Just like any other cash crop from the mountain.
Yeah.
So is it an economical war for the people of the mountain? That's the question you are asking.
Right.
People of the Mombasa, Kilifi, and Taita Taveta.
Yes, those governors should be very answerable to that. And especially when it comes to the war against drugs, I wonder why it's also a bottom-up approach. We are starting with the least effect, the one with the least effects before we attack the cocaine at the top. But that's another conversation. Let's go straight to the papers. And we see here the Jubilee Party boss, and Nick, you will forgive me for the choice of words, but that is very targeted. Uhuru, here, where is his 1 billion? Where is the 1.1 billion Kenyan shillings? We have been treated to a war that we thought had been put out. Gatwiri, if you can remember as well from last administration between Uhuru and Ruto, there was that tussle. Ameninyang'anya choppers, amenikataza nisiende Uganda, amenifanyia hivi na hivi. And then immediately we saw that change of power. There was one thing that President William Ruto said, is there will be no witch hunt, there will be no revenge of any kind. It will be a peaceful transition, kila mtu afanye kazi yake. But no sooner had he finished saying that, did we see cars pulling up at the front of former President Uhuru Kenyatta's homesteads and, requesting for arms and whatnot. We've seen the former First Lady of the Republic and the surviving widow of the first president, Mama Ngina Kenyatta, also complaining about issues here and there, allocation of vehicles, threatening of security at midnight, receiving phone calls at midnight, and much more, which President Uhuru Kenyatta had detailed through the Director of Communications, that is Kanze Dena. But there was also other issues like the confirmation of contracts of employment that include that of Kanze Dena, who was in also delivering that statement from former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Is this a witch hunt, Gatwiri? Or kweli kuna mtu hajafuata rule of law? One side says they've been submitting everything, that is the government says they've provided everything to former President Uhuru Kenyatta, but he insists that hajakuwa akipata kakitu. Who's telling the lie and who's telling the truth?
I think the government of today is just doing everything their way. They're not really following the procedure, because if it is to do with the 1.1 billion of the General Uhuru, it is budgeted, it should be done as it was, but it seems that since the government took the seat, everything has come upside down. They're just doing whatever they are doing per their self. They are not doing it as the way it should be done.
Okay.
Yep.
So you believe this could be a political comeback or a political hit back at President Uhuru Kenyatta?
Yes.
Okay. Nick Mwadime Mwangi.
I want to take you a little bit of history. The office of the retired president was established immediately after 2003, when the second president of this republic, Daniel Torotich Moi, retired. And the parliament then did put up a budget that will support and enable the office of the retired president. And immediatady after that, one gentleman called John Makumi was placed as an administrator of that office. Now, Kanzedena is saying one Mr. John Makumi has been really unprofessional because he's being used to attack and send a lot of missile to the office of the retired president, especially the current one, my party boss, Uhuru Muigai wa Kenyatta. And we know, this is a man, I told you here before, Richard, this is a man who was sworn in. Instead of lifting the constitution, he decided to lift
a sword.
You know it better than I do.
You're setting me up there. You're setting me up, but true. But a question that is being asked.
That's why you're asking today.
Yes.
This money that is being allocated, because the whole issue here that they're talking about, Uhuru has decided that, my party boss, that his office, due to security issues, has to be close to his residential place, that is along the Dennis Sprit house.
Yes.
But these people are saying no. According to what the office regulations, we need to set further.
Yes.
So
they have an office at
so this is the plan where we can easily come and ambush and put a lot of illegal things so that we say and malign.
But they're saying that this house that is at Nyari Estate, former President Mwai Kibaki lived there, and they are hoping that President Uhuru Kenyatta can also use it at the office.
It is very unprofessional of them because our party boss did send an official communication.
Yes.
And what did they do? They decided to respond with a text message. Can you imagine?
A text message.
I send you an email, ICC your bosses, you decide to reply with
tumecheki.
Hey.
Thanks. Tumeona. Thanks.
These people are totally unprofessional. And you know, that's where Kenyans are asking. Because they have been purporting a lot that Uhuru is eating state money. They have been sending a lot of wrong machineries to attacking our boss. And Uhuru is now coming out officially and saying, for the last 2 years, I've not been receiving the 1.1 billion that is allocated each and every financial year.
Yeah. So the state denies though these claims, and that's why I was asking earlier, is who's lying and who's telling the truth? Because if you look at page 4 of the Standard, it seems we're looking at two different sides of the story.
It's very simple, Richard.
Yeah.
If I send you money, what do I look? Financial statements. Can the state come up with a financial statement
to
prove the allegations that they are saying?
Right.
If I pay you salary today, I just pull up your
pay slip.
Exactly.
Right.
I just go to look at your financial details. I look at also your KRA pin. And the state pull up those things.
So help us God is what President Uhuru Kenyatta is saying, and it paints a very good situation of the country, even away from his woes, that Uhuru turns to God. So if you replace this with Kenyans turn to God in Ruto money fight, it will be still the same kind of communication. He's asking God to save us all. And Gaturi, I will ask you this in the backdrop of the current conversation we're having, even on the Standard there. Reject punitive taxes. Hustlers plead with members of parliament. Are we only left now to God? What are the options? What options do we have if the former president says, God save us all? Do we leave all this to God?
I think that could be our take all overseas. If the boss, Uhuru, is turning to God, meaning he has tried all means. And for us,
If Uhuru has tried all means,
we follow
what
suit.
about us?
We follow suit.
Punitive taxes. Reject punitive taxes. Hustlers plead with members of parliament. On the final day of submission and public hearings characterized by heckling and criticism, Kenyans asked the Committee of Finance to have the parliament amend what they feel would make their lives worse off. Page 6 has the details of what is currently happening in the conversation with the finance bill of 2024. So when I look at this, we are talking about the finance bill, right? The nation needs to raise more money, and the richest family of the nation also is talking about remittances to them. Will any Kenyan really feel the pain that the Kenyattas are feeling at this point?
You know, when we were going to election, Richard, the alleged situation was Ruto is our Messiah. A man who's going to bring miracles.
Yes.
He's going to heal the sick. He's going to turn water into wine. Because apparently all the bars and the situations at the state house were closed. I'm really waiting to see these miracles. You know, me and you sit here every Tuesday, Richard, to see these miracles.
Yes.
But Kenyans are saying simply, come on, enough is enough.
The miracles are supposed to come because the magic is being performed by the budget, the finance bill. They're saying these taxes, they look bad. The magic will be that they look bad for a while, and then suddenly we wake up to a morning of a great day in our nation. Everything is cheap.
It is very simple, Richard.
I mean,
we had finance bill of 2023.
Yes.
Can we first review it?
Yes, we have reviewed.
Yes.
And we have seen we fell short.
Yes.
Yeah.
What actually happened? He's talking about cutting taxes, because you see where the other day he said that he's going to cut the taxes of the three main offices: the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, the office of Deputy President, and the office of the President. Right. Now I want you to follow that chain of thought.
Yes.
Where is he going next?
22%
to the common mwananchi. So Richard, I'm supposed to pay tax with no money. I'm telling you, this government is making people angry by the day.
Right.
And come 2027, early in the morning, this man must go.
Gatiri, the budget, Kenyans are warning that these taxes are punitive. And the president insists that, you know, eventually we will see the light. Will we see the light? And can we really term them as punitive before we see the results of the taxes? Given this is the second year of the Kenya Kwanza government. It's only the second year.
Yeah, so if Ruto is basically, we know him as a savior since he came now to the city, and so far now we have 2 years. And if it were to do with providence, if it is to do with adling common mwananchi, if the family of the richest family is complaining, that of Uhuru, what about the common mwananchi, Mama Boga and the Bonda person?
Yes.
What are we going to say? Because these people are, it's like the virtue of hand to mouth. They don't have many arenas to fund themselves. So in the near future, I don't think I'm gonna take the seat again.
Yes.
Because if 2 years has made people to just to quote him as a Zakayo.
Yeah.
So he's upside down.
It's okay to
Yes.
Zakayo, he knows,
Yes.
he's aware.
It is upside down what we thought and what we are expecting at the moment.
All right. What are some of the taxes you will say are a pain to you so far when you look at it from whether this year or from coming from last year's finance bill?
Taxes?
The taxes that you feel are the most that bring the most pain to you, or generally to Kenyans in this finance bill?
The small businesses, because to those people who have small businesses, so as days goes on, the taxes are shooting.
Yes.
So those people are brought to a situation where they cannot manage their bills.
Yes.
Because the money they get cannot quench all that they need at the moment.
Right.
So
Eventually, small businesses are going to hurt.
Yes.
Right. Kenyans warn new punitive taxes proposals will hurt investments. That's page 6 of the Standard. And financial gurus, diaspora leaders have raised their concerns from Safaricom to the Kenya Diaspora Alliance, all the way to other key stakeholders like accountancy firms, KPMG. They're all crying, Bolt and Uber, saying that eventually, if this is passed to law, they will just have to leave the country. We've seen a shutdown of some of those small businesses, as Gatwiri there is mentioning. Copia, which went under administration just a few weeks ago, is laying off 1,000+ employees because of the kind of situation they find themselves in. So loss of jobs and much more expected to come out of this. The Daily Nation. Nick, if you can lead me with that. Is that the one you have?
I have the Standard.
Oh, okay. Let me just read the title then. Still, where is Uhuru's 1.1 billion funding? State House has denied allegations by Kenyatta's office. Ulikuwa umeniambia earlier that financial transactions inafaa kutolewa. Wanasema that as late as May 15th, walifuel kakitu. Hivyo ndio Isaac Maura anasema. Anasema hawa majamaa walifuel kakitu last month. Mbona wanasema hawajatujia?
It is very simple. You know, government vehicles are fueled at a specific place.
Yes.
If you're a government, probably official at the senior ranking of a cabinet secretary, a principal secretary, office of the deputy president, and the president. Your car is fueled specifically. Yes. Can they produce evidence? We want to challenge Isaac Maura, Dr. Isaac Maura today. Let him produce evidence.
Receipts.
Yes. Let him
screenshots.
You see, receipts don't lie.
Yeah.
Right?
Atutole receipts.
Yes, atutole tujue, by the way, wamekuwa kekea mzee, kakitu. Yes.
Not that hajaekewa.
Let's be very practical here, yes. Richard. And this whole issue of Uhuru finance bill, it's very saddening to Kenyans because the war started at his farm. The government has not reimbursed the goats that they took. We are still waiting. You know,
you're saying the government has not reimbursed the goats that they took.
Yes.
Who are they?
We know who took those goats.
Okay.
They said we plant trees, but they decided to cut trees at Uhuru's farm. You understand?
Yes. It's a war that has been building up to this point.
You can imagine. It has reached a point whereby our party boss, can you imagine, former head of state, has to acquire transport otherwise, either by fear of security or by denial of transportation. So we people here at the ground level are asking ourselves, what is really happening?
Yes.
Are they trying to politically and politically, business-wise, economically, socially, emotionally
sabotage
our party boss?
Right. That's a good question to ask, because the final thing was this is going to set a precedence that if this can happen to Uhuru Kenyatta, then
it is set a precedent.
Then who is Richard Okenye?
Because one thing that Dr. William Samoei Ruto should know, that as he kept saying that power is
transient.
Power is transient.
Right.
And 5 years is not a long time.
3 years.
Actually, it's 2.
JSS tutors sacked 2 days after calling off strike. So this is what is happening. Thousands of junior school teachers, who we were discussing about here a few weeks ago, were on strike because of delayed payments, because of the amount of monies that they are receiving is too little, and then, and more of contract issues. They went on strike for a couple of days here and there, and when they were back, wakaambiwa ndo hizi termination letters. Wakaambiwa you are out of work with no explanation. And now they're going home after having fought for their... And most of this, or some of this, I remember Nick pointing out, were from Kirinyaga, the ones who actually went out to protest. So Mount Kenya there, again, showing up in the issues that are there within the Kenya Kwanza government and the people. It's a fight, Kenya Kwanza government and the people.
People forget that Mount Kenya led to the revolution of independence of this country. People seem to forget that. People took that mandate to Western and Luo Nyanza. But you look at those who are the forefront of fighting independence. Go check your history. Mau Mau was formed in Mount Kenya. Right?
Okay.
That Sir Evelyn Baring in 1952 decided to call a state of emergency. Because of what?
Because of the Mau Mau in Mount Kenya.
You understand? So the people are now taken back to their roots. That the punitive tax, the salary decrement, the unkept and biased contracts. People are saying it is enough, Richard.
It is enough. Gatwiri, when you look at JSS tutors here who have been sacked, letters have been issued by TSC citing professional misconduct. This is after them being on strike, and they are receiving as little as 17,000 Kenyan shillings a month in terms of gross income from the government to teach a whole lot of subjects in a new curriculum of CBC. What does this paint in terms of the education, the direction of education in this republic? From JSS, this is a new provision in the education system where we have junior secondary school just right before high school, and we'll get to secondary schools here in the standard, which shows that they're going to lose an amount of money which is usually allocated to them. What does this paint to you in terms of the education and the direction of the education system?
The government of today, I mean, they into a place they are making decisions overnight. And in the morning, everything turns around. Like people slept without knowing what is up tomorrow, because as the Kenyans, as the citizens, we have to be updated.
Yes.
Because the government at large is not for the people in the government, the staff.
Yes.
But the citizens, because the citizens and the common mwananchi, these are the people who did the campaigning, these are the people who played the major role. So it is disgusting, because you can't just wake up and you're like, you're being sacked, you've been sent a letter.
And it seems to be a trend in the education ministry to make decisions overnight. Them being sacked overnight. Remember schools being reopened overnight after two different statements from the ministry.
It's like the CSs and the people in the seat, they don't know their work, because how can you just be given a seat by the citizens? These are the people who have actually employed you, and you just plant them without updating them what you are up to. Yes.
All right. That is the situation. JSS teachers sacked 2 days after ending strike. I have Edgar Ndege, who is watching and is one of those medical interns who are also on strike a few back. I wonder what it would look like for him if he went back to work the next day and issued a sacking letter. Is this a way forward? 7,357 number of teachers who have been hired as interns and were issued show cause letters by TSC.
You know, one wants to wonder, was a part of the agreement to end the strike that heads must roll?
Maliza strike, I'll have to deal na a couple of you guys.
And you know, that really infringes our constitution, Richard.
And we have an employment act, right?
Yes. And one thing that I'm totally disagreement with this government of the day, that we have a whole education system called competence-based curriculum that was set without any form of precedent. At a whole committee led by former Chief of Justice decided to come up with a report that this government came into power with no simple plan of how to implement this
CBC.
That next year, beginning of next year, Richard, that the Form 4s that are exiting in different institutions, the Form 1s that are going into now the new system are going to find a lot of challenges.
Yes.
Because we are not even discussing the issue about how education is getting paid. Recently, we saw that the government proposed that we pay through the e-citizen platform. And there was a huge scandal just the other day that a lot of money was
lost.
Yes. It's like the system internet ilipotea kidogo tu hivi. 1 minute.
Kurudi transaction imefanyika.
Transaction cost has gone high. And it is very sad, Richard, that the quickest way to finish a society is when you attack the education system.
Right. So again, I ask, is it deliberate to cripple the education system?
Me and you, Richard, should be very worried, because we're going to be parents of tomorrow. Where are we going to take our children to school? How many people are going to afford to go to private schools? Those are the questions that you're supposed to be asking. And even so, let's talk about, right now we're talking about the staffing of the JSS, right?
Yes.
What about the facilities? The other day, we saw children swimming on the ground, right? Apparently, they were supposed to teach or to bring children based on talent-based system. We don't have facilities. It was very sad the other day when just before Madaraka Day, our head of state stood up and said that he has built Bungoma Stadium to the standards where Arsenal and Manchester United
can play a Champions League game.
You know those games, Richard, are very expensive to have at this kind of situation.
Right. That's true. I think we've allowed it too much. It's now become a norm for us to just listen to these lies.
And that is why today, Richard, Limuru 3 is still happening in Muranga. And we are saying as the people of the mountain that we cannot allow to be reduced. We talking about our issues as a form of hate and tribalism. One thing I want to agree with the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, despite his marriage contract with President Ruto, which is 5 years, and it seems to be fading by day, one man, one vote, 1 shilling has to take precedent, because the people of the mountain have been deemed to be very tribal by so many people, especially our sons and daughters. But the other day, we saw the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, converging the people of the Western to meet and talk about the issues. Richard, how fair is it that each and every year that 350 million for CDF is getting disbursed? My constituency here, Roysambu, and a constituency in Northeastern, with a population of almost 1 million here in Roysambu,
right,
and a population of 150 in Northeastern. How are we going to say that we have
equitable allocation? Equitable allocation, a very big conversation actually that is happening all across, and we saw a few blows were exchanged at a UDA meeting
just in Kiamba,
just a few days back, and Kimani Ichung'wah pointing out fingers to the supporters of that conversation, and I want us to pick it up actually right after this, but I'd like to hear from Gatwiri, just to pick it up at that point, the conversation on equitable sharing of revenue, as Nick is putting it out there, that 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote. Do we approach it in terms of numbers, or do we approach it in terms of need? The people who are against that say pesa mingi, patia watu wa Turkana pesa mingi kwa sababu huko kuna drought. Wanaweza kuwa ni watu 10, lakini huko kuna drought, kuna easy issues, kuna issues hizi, kuna issues za kuflood, kuna issues za hizi. But then the other conversation is, let every one person get access to an equitable share of the national cake. Is that the best way in which you can approach equitable share?
I think we can approach it in this way. One word, we take that direction because we all have needs. So you cannot say, because what the government is trying to do is they just what I think is that they just take a place, maybe a certain constituency, because they have a need, and they try to blindfold all Kenyans, like they are doing well, because this country has needs. Maybe they overflood the places with whatever they need at the moment, so that in our social media platforms they can show us they are really doing well, but every other citizen is suffering. So they should just share equitably.
All right, at that point I'd like us to
probably, let me ask you, Richard, something before we even go to the next issue. Do you know what pay means?
Pay as you earn. You pay it as you earn it.
Richard, I cannot pay you 20,000 shillings and expect you to produce
25,000 shillings.
Understand? That the hugest contributors of the tax economy are the people of the mountain.
Okay. And this is based on?
Richard, you said it's pay as you
and
based on the numbers, right?
How many are paying as they earn?
Let me take you slowly. voters currently, as of 2022, Mount Kenya are 10 million.
Yes.
And a voter is somebody with a what?
With a voter's card.
The voter's card. Whether you're in business, whether you're employed, whether you're doing whatever kind of manner, you have to pay what?
You have to pay taxes.
You have to pay your taxes. So assuming that everyone is paying 1 bob, how much have you contributed to the tax basket?
As many as 10 million.
10 million.
Right.
Now let us go to the real population of people of Mount Kenya.
Yeah.
The population of the people of Mount Kenya ranges between, as of 2019, when we did census, 25 million.
And 5 million people in Mount Kenya.
2019, I want to assume that the children were also counted, and probably giving a range of between 2019 and 2024, that is 5 years. Those who are at the age of
13, they are already 18. They're voters now.
They're paying taxes.
They're paying taxes. That's actually the one we are looking at, not their voters. They are paying taxes. Yes. I'd like us to pick up that conversation because the point you want to deliver, I want someone else to be there when it drops. And right after this, I'm just going to take a short break and bring on someone to help us out here to delve into that conversation that is happening at Limuru 3, as you said today, in Muranga.
We're in Muranga.
Yes, we want to tackle that and much more political developments from the region of Mount Kenya. Just put a pin right there so that we don't lose it. But Gatwiri, at this point, as you go for that break, a shout out to the people of Meru and to the people who you'd like to shout out in general.
Yes. So to my people in Meru, we are on our toes to make sure Miraha, our cash crop, that which has made us, that which has participated in our schooling and whatever, the businesses and everything is gonna come into the lane, whereby the taxation is not gonna come, it's not gonna shoot again. We are going to address the issue to the government. Yes, because to do with the curtailing the Mira and Mugoka, we are not going to sit down and watch it. We are tired. We are tired.
All right. We are going to sit down and watch it. That could be any Kenyan outside just saying this morning, we are tired. Going for that break, let me bring on Ojong Mariam to help us into that political conversation. Don't go far.
Repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law
You need to look for high quality friends.
I'm from Kingston, Jamaica, Portmore. That's my village.
Kanga tu chini hapo ukinyanyia ukikatia mademu akipita.
Naweza saa hii nimekuja kukopesa choo.
Tunachimba hadi mizizi kuletea yanayojiri.
So mimi naomba tu serikali yetu ya Mungu, jibarikiwe na Mungu, iweze kuteremsha bei ya mafuta
yanayokukumba. Tuna maizi, tunakutetea sisiri. Kwa kweli ni spesheli tukikupambia makala ya mwanamke mwake. Utasema hupendi mizizi ya habari. Nami Caroline Kimwele.
Are you healthy, or rather, do you maintain a healthy lifestyle? According to WHO, health is regarded as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. Welcome to Focus on Health, a show on all matters health, wellness, and lifestyle. On this show, we cover a wide variety of topics, inclusive of, but not limited to, dental, optical, mental, reproductive health, and so much more. Join me, Joy Bofenda, every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. on KUTV for compelling insights and discussions on all matters health. See you then.
Focus on Health, your weekly dose of health and wealth information on KUTV.
From the hospital corridors, we bring you experts to discuss issues affecting your health, from diet to mental health. The familiar and the ignored are both put into perspective. We then dive into the environment and look at the effects of climate change and its solutions. Join me, Mutegi K. Martin, every Friday at 9 p.m. as we learn on how to better our health while taking care of our environment. Only on KUTV.
All right, an addition onto this panel conversation, which is going to part 2 now, where most of it is going to be on the political developments that are happening currently, and maybe just a few of business as well. I'm introducing my fellow journalist here on KUTV, Ojwang Mariam, mtoto wa Mariam Vincent Maina. Karibu sana kwenye kikao cha Biashara Tuesday. Unasemaje?
Nashukuru sana mzee Okenye.
Yes.
Unajua jina Vincent Maina sana huwa linapatikana katika M-Pesa. But recently limeanza kutokea sana because the organizers of Limuru 3 are not banking on online marketing for Limuru 3 events.
Yes.
Ni wewe ambaye ni delegate unapata SMS short message service every time that tunatoka hapa tunaelekea hapa. Saizi Limuru 3 imekuwa na heated debate iko kotini kwa mujibu wa Busia Senator Okiya Omtata. Anasema hayo mambo sio mambo ya kupewa kichwa, ni mambo ya mkia. Kwa hivyo yanafaa yabaki nyuma, ya kwamba regions are not supposed to be meeting alafu mnaongea mambo ya kwenyu. Lakini anasema mambo ya kwenu vipi na nyumba ndogo ufanye kesi zao usiku. Inamaanisha kukiwa na giza, haimaanishi kukiwa na giza. Inamaanisha tunakutana, tunaongea.
Yes.
Na it's a waste of time kujaribu kuambia watu wa Mount Kenya wasipatane. Hao ni watu kama vile Nick alikuwa anasema, hata mzungu mwenyewe tried. Yes, he got a chance ya kumaliza Dedan Kimathi. Then a few of us,
but eventually vizazi vipo. Wanasema pia deputy president ni mmoja wa hao ambao walitoka kizazi cha Maumau, yani ni descendant.
Wanasema ama anasema
yeye na watu wake,
by the virtue of kuzaliwa ako hapo hivyo.
Sawa. Okenye,
siku ya leo niko na furaha na bado nalia. Yani niko na majonzi. Ya kwamba JSS, walimu wa JSS wanajipata mahali ambapo NAT ilikuwa na NAT na JSS wasipochunga wanaweza elekea. Kuna kiongozi anayekwenda kwa jina William Sosion.
Yes.
Sosion alisimama na NAT until serikali iliyopita hiyo ya mkubwa wetu Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta ilipata way ya kumaliza nguvu ya NAT kiasi by trying to empower KUPPET, Kenya Union of Post Primary Teachers. Na kuna kitu kinaendelea na haya ni mambo ya system.
Yes.
Na viongozi wanafaa wakuwe very keen on how they take this law kwa sababu unajua sheria ni msumeno.
Inakata
na power is transient.
Yes.
Leo uko nayo, kesho hauna. In fact kuna wale uitumie hiyo power vibaya. Utaingia ushike kiti na the first order of business inakuwa ni kusafisha, wanaitaka kusafisha. For example, when the Nairobi governor Johnson Sakaja, who is now running for chair UDA Nairobi County, na elections zilifanyika jana, bado matokeo tutapata. I remember telling you that matokeo ya UDA hizo party politics inatokea the same day. Hizo hazijatokea. What he did, the first order of business ilikuwa kufagia, kutuosha, kusafisha kwa board. I remember by then I was working for Rusambo Liquor Board. Na they say in the proverbial dog word, walitutoa kama mbwa.
Waliwafukuza kama mbwa.
Wanasahau sana.
So JSS wanafukuzwa kama mbwa.
JSS wanaambiwa ni sawa mmemalizana na mgomo. Lakini there must be casualties. Which is unconstitutional. Because wewe kutoka kuandamana to petition against something or to petition for something is a right that is enshrined in the Kenyan Constitution.
And I ask here at this point a question to KOTU. Where does it come in when it comes to the rights of workers like these ones? Tunafaa kuwa tukiona Atwoli akitetea hawa 7,300.
Hayo ni mambo ambayo tunafaa kuona, lakini KOTU is changing. Because if the KOTU Secretary General, who is very powerful, not only in this country, even outside, kazi yake ni kutafutana na government of the day, the president of the day, not for the benefits and interests of the workers,
but for his own interests.
Zake mwenyewe na familia yake. Mbona hadi saa hizi hajaongelelea kuhusu hawa walimu? Mbona hadi saa hizi hajaongelea kuhusu medical interns ambao walitupwa under the bus na wakuu wao? Na hawa medical interns, mstari wa mbele wale ambao wanaandamana zaidi ilikuwa ni wao. You will see very junior faces. Those are not doctors, they are those medical interns, and they were sent under the bus. KOTU Secretary General will not tell you about that. Sahi.
Nick.
Yes.
When we say when Ojwang says people are being thrown under the bus, it paints a very, very grim picture when it comes to leadership of the unions that are in charge of workers in various sections. So tukiangalia vile alisema NAT, mambo yalisambaratika because they could no longer trust on the leadership to help them. Now we are seeing the issue of workers and, you know, Tuoli hawasaidii pale. JSS say that now that they've been fired or been issued letters of show cause, which eventually will lead to termination of their contracts, they will form their own union. Anasema wataenda pale watengeneze JSS Teachers Union. Sasa juu itaitwa Jijitsu, Majistu. But will they still deliver, given that you could throw you under the bus, just like MPDU?
Let me take you a little bit
to a history class. I love that you are always giving me a history lesson.
On the August of 2023, one Mr. Rajab Mondia was the chairman of KOTU. Unfortunately, he passed away due to illness. On the 22nd of November 2023, one Mr. Joel Kandie, I think Rotich, was made the chairman of
KOTU.
Are you following the history class? I want you to follow with. I want you to go with me.
Yes.
Now I want you to officially tell you that the Secretary General is the spokesperson of any
organization,
but the power and mandate of an organization belongs to the chairman. So carefully thinking without that history class, who is running KOTU?
That's the good question.
So it clearly tells you that KOTU is in bed with the government of
the day. Definitely.
So And it's very good that you are a very good
student
of history.
Students. You know where you went to, bro.
And the question begs today, Richard.
Yes.
How do you expect a government proposer to fight punitive
measures from the same government? That's a big of an over expectation on our part. So where do we live? One, medical interns. Some of those who are watching, he watches the show these days a lot. A shout out to Ed Gandege. He's a former schoolmate of mine, but as a medical intern he has been thrown under the bus. KMPDU leaders wake walimwacha, wengine wao walikuwa kwa trip wakienda USA, President William Ruto akivisit. We are seeing here JSS hawana mtu wa kuwatetea. Ojwang Mariam, inamaanisha tukifika mahali kama hapo, mahali hatuna mtetezi, tuna give up. Is that the structure that has been set by the government to ensure, because we used to say, and I think we've had this discussion a lot with you, even off air, that Mkenya atafika mahali afinywe aseme, hapana haiwezi. But it seems from where I sit at that the government has found a way, dunga shimo kwa hiyo ukuta, si ndio? Wanakusukuma ukifika hapo, wanakupush out. Unabaki hapo.
Hiyo ndio wanaita kwa kimombo system.
Yes. Oh, hiyo ndio system. Hivyo sasa ndio system inafanya kazi.
The same way ulisikia last year mmefanya public participation.
Yes.
Mmeita mpaka experts. The same thing they are doing right now.
Right.
But when it comes to the debates pale hivyo, unasikia mbunge wenyu. Unajua sisi mbunge wetu huwa tunamuaddress direct. Juu tuko na namba yake, tuko kwa WhatsApp group pamoja, tunamwambia angusha hii kitu ama pitisha hii kitu.
Tunaangalia mbunge Mwafrika.
Kamande Mwafrika, mbunge wa Roysambu.
Yes.
But he can't consider that as public participation. And now these leaders are using public participation kama weapon ya kupitisha na kuraba stamp vitu. Ask my good friend wakili Karani, he will confirm to you that upande wa Roysambu huwa wana-organize public participation na zinapelekwa kwa the biggest ward in Roysambu, which is Kahawa West. Alafu wewe kama MCA unalipa watu kama 10 hivi. That's about, if it's 500 times 10, that is 5,000. An MCA will use 5,000 from one ward, another one will use 5,000 from one ward. Walete hawa watu hapo hivyo, wasome kile ambacho wanataka kusoma, nasi tupeane maoni, tuseme hapana, mnataka kuunda Northern Town Boroughs, msiziunde kwa uwanja wa Clay City. Kule Kasarani nyuma tuko na uwanja mkubwa sana pale ambapo kuna ofisi zingine, including the national government, na hivi sasa kuna hadi za county hapo hivyo.
Yes.
Tengenezeni ofisi hapo hivyo. Alafu MCA simame aseme, sisi tunaonelea hii mipira yenyu mwachane nayo, tujenge ofisi Clay City. Ama tujenge soko kiwanja kwa uwanja. Sawa? Alafu watu wake waseme
tumekubali.
Alafu wataenda pale county assembly aseme watu wa Roysambu wamepitisha. So the people are being used to rubber stamp
what he wants to be done.
But the public participation yenyewe imefanyika, those details that were discussed will not be taken into consideration. Saa hizi umesikia experts, wana biashara, watu ambao ni wakubwa hapa nchini Kenya, wakisema hii finance bill 2024 itatuadhiri sisi kama wafanya biashara na itawaathiri wale ambao tumeajiri wote.
Yes.
Kwa sababu ili tuweze kulipa huu ushuru na tufanye yale ambayo sisi bado tunataka kufanya, kwa sababu at the end of the day kichele ndo kila mtu anatafuta. Si unasikia hadi Rais Uhuru
amecheleweshewa chake.
Saa hizi imebidi hadi aangalie Mungu. Aseme
amenicheleweshewa kichele Mungu.
Gazeti linasema Uhuru now turns
to God.
Unashika. Yes. At the end of it all, hata hawa business investors wanatafuta pesa.
So wait, are we saying
kupunguza kwa watu ambao wanaajiri ndo waongeze kwa pesa. Watu wataumia zaidi ni hawa walimu sana wa JSS. Do you know how important a JSS teacher is?
Very much, because that transition.
Ana serve transition ya kutoka primary to high school. Na ni transition ambayo bado ni changa
hata haijaeleweka
vizuri. Watu hawajaelewa kuhusu mtaala wa CBC, hawauelewi. Mtaala unasema hawauradi hata kidogo. Now messing with these teachers at this tender age,
it's going to mess up our children.
Yes. And inaweza saidia pia kwa sababu walimu wa JSS wataanza kusema tunataka muungano wetu. We need our own union. Alafu wapate tu secretary na chairman mzuri. Mambo yao yatasikizwa. Medical interns
pia wao unasema pia waunde nao union.
Kama hawataunda waungane. Everything happens
when you come together.
Good happens in unity. Everything that happens and it is bad happens in unity. Saa hizi if rais anataka kitu fulani, ataingia bungeni, atume mtu mmoja, anaweza tumia hadi Sudi. Anaangaliaga, huwa wanaangalia. Hii matter how is it concerning the people of Kenya? How is it concerning me? Kama ni kitu inaweza leta shida, kitu kama presidential term, kuongezewa,
anatuma mtu
hawezi ongelea kupunguza, anaongelea kuongeza. Hiyo watatuma watu kama vile Oscar Sudi, those that they consider
low ranking.
Alafu kikiwaramba watawapeleka under the bus. Unaona? Atumie wewe ndio waseme hizo ni poroje zake.
Achana na huyo jamaa, si unamjua.
Kuna mtu amemtuma. Tunataka kuongeza miaka at least 2 kama mtu anafanya kazi. But when they want to talk about issues of that are of big concern, they will not use people. Watanyamaza tu hizo zijiongelele. Na hapo ndio unaona watu kama vile gavana wa Mushamba, she is coming back to her people and realizing kitu inaumiza watu wangu. Yeye huenda anauliza, Wakikuyu usema kenganaini. Sawa. Hadharani anauliza niangushe nipitishe.
Wanasema angusha hiyo kitu.
Na akaangusha.
Kweli. Hivyo ndio tunahitaji. Na sasa kabla Mwadime ingie, in terms of JSS umetuombea, and I like your answer that as they turn to God, vile President Uhuru Kenyatta na turn to God, pia they can turn to a union, to unity. They can turn to unity, and in unity is when they can realize good results. Nick, as you come in also, at this point I want us to unpin pale mali tuliacha, picking up from that conversation on unity. Limuru 3 inafanyika leo na Bukungu whatever ilishafanyika. Swali pia ni kama ni Limuru 3 ama ni Muranga 1, kwa sababu inafanyika Muranga.
You know I told you what my good friend here is saying. That the conversation belongs to the people, not leaders. It is just that the leaders manipulate the process. The main purpose of Limuru 3, why the people of the mountain converged, because they realized, one, Mamau Road that was being built stopped from operating. Two, their businesses are getting closed day by day. And you know, Richard, the quickest way for me to ensure that I have closed your business, what do? Increase the compliance regulations. And part of the compliance regulation is, has the business met a specific certificate? Has it met its standard? Can it sustain itself financially? My good friend here, Faiza Gatweri, she said that she runs a business in Isli. And that clearly tells you that the people of Isli and Gikomba do the clothes business. Studio. So if previously I was buying a property, let's say a shoe or a cloth, at maybe 500 shillings, now it's 1,000 shillings due to taxes. How am I going to do businesses?
You're not going to be able to do that.
We saw the issues of demolitions of property in Madare, in Gikomba, and most of our people have been affected. The other day we were talking about 10,000 shillings here, Richard. Have you had even a single person who has received?
No one has received that money that I know of.
How many weeks later that children are expected to go to school without their homes? They're expected to go to school without uniforms. They're expected to go to school without food. They're expected to go to school where they've slept outside.
That's
why we are meeting to talk about these issues. Not an issue.
It's nothing to do with
tribalism. Not
tribal
about
composition of Mount Kenya.
I'm telling you, no matter how good I speak Kikuyu today, it cannot solve my issue.
No matter how good you speak Kikuyu, it cannot help you with taxes.
You understand?
Yes.
And that's why our people are saying, look, I think we made a mistake. That in the name of God, we trusted a man of God.
Hey. Wow. So are we okaying, Ojwang, that let then everybody in the rest of the country, watu wapatane, basi tukue na Kisii 2 if it does not happen, Turkana 5, Baringo 6, kila mtu apatane to discuss shida inatu affect aje? Is that the thing we are okaying?
We are not the ones okaying, by the way. Juzi tu umesikia Rais Ruto akisema wacha wabunge watangatange. Wanatangatanga wakienda wapi? Ikiwa sisi wenyewe tukitangatanga inakuwa ni shida. Hawa MPs ama hawa wabunge, they are us. Sasa they ni kioo. Ni sisi bado. Kwa hivyo wao hawawezi pata such power sasa kukutana mahali wanataka. Lakini wale ambao wanaweka kwa power, wao hawawezi kutana.
Okay.
What Kenyans should be doing right now is wakisii wanafaa wakutane. Sasa msiongee kuhusu ukisii. Sasa ongeeni kuhusu vile ambavyo rasilimali na fedha za serikali zitawafikia na zitaleta maendeleo. It's so sad that katika ukurasa wa 32 gazeti la Daily Nation, Ruto okays mini budget that cuts development cash by 75 billion. Sasa kukata sio shida, but angalia nini nakatwa. Development cash.
Kukata si shida, unakata nini?
Na ili jambo lita affect CDF. Utasikia tu CDF imeongezewa, NGCDF imeongezewa wapi, but haisaidii. Angalia kama kwetu Roysambu. I was asking, nilikuwa na question watu ambao wako kwa bodi ya barabara, kwa sababu kuna barabara ambazo hapa Roysambu zimekuwa ni it's disastrous. Like a road, it's a main road, it connects Thika Superhighway to Northern Bypass, passing through KU main campus to the only vocational training center in Roysambu ya Kiwanja. But barabara ni shamba. So I was asking, mnapewa 144 million, mnafanyia nini? Let me tell you something, Okenye.
Tell me something.
Asilimia 60% ya pesa za NGCDF hazitumiki kwa development.
Inatumika kwa nini?
Kulipa wafanyakazi ambao wanashughulikia hiyo NGCDF. Inamaanisha only 40%
is going to the actual work.
Alafu bado utasikia mwandishi anasema ukurasa wa 32 gazeti la Daily Nation, Ruto okays mini budget that cuts development cash by 75 billion. 3 weeks to the end of that financial year. We are joking.
I see. So those are the conversations that should be happening. The financial discipline, the financial allocation.
Wabunge watakimbia bungeni kwenda kupitisha miswada kama hii ya kukata development cash ambayo inaenda kwa constituencies. Lakini ikifika ni kudebate maswala ambayo yanakuhusu wewe kama Mkenya, utawasikia wako wapi? Tanzania.
Hawako.
Wanatafuta kichele.
Wamewalk out.
Alafu wakirudi Kenya wanawaambia mimi sishindagi nikienda hizo bunge zetu. Hizo sifikagi. Na bado National Assembly Speaker amenyamaza, hajui afanye na wao nini.
Tuko na picha hapa ambayo ningependa tuangalie, iko kwenye Standard page 15 on the opinion section. I want us to pick it up there with that, because that conversation also ndo imeleta hiyo rift or supposed rift between President William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. We saw in Kiambaa over the weekend, watu walirushiana maneno na ngumi pia zilitembea, hata kama hazikufika zote but zilitembea.
Just within sana wange cross waingie Uluyani.
wangekipokea.
Must be crazy.
Wangekipokea. So pale tunaona leaders. Kwanza acha tuchambue hii picha. Sijui kama mnaitazama nyote. Kama ukurasa 15 acha hapo Nick Modime akusaidie. And we're going to show it there. Yeah, it's shown. Kwa wale wa nyumbani wanaweza ona. Ebu kwanza Nick, I'd like your interpretation on that editorial piece on page 15.
You know, have you heard of what we call marriage of convenience? So I'm asking myself here, how many goats were paid? And who are these in-laws that received these goats? Because as it seems, the in-laws are not happy.
The in-laws of this marriage.
This marriage are not happy. But
divorce inaanza mapema.
But beside
it's page 15 actually of the Daily Nation, I realized. Not the standard. It's on the Daily Nation that you have there. Just let me know of your first initial reactions to what that editorial cartoon looks like.
Yes.
Hapa mimi kitu naona ni DP Gachagua caricature. So these are representations of these people, just to make sure I have not accused anyone of anything. This is DP Gachagua on the right, ameshikilia anakata kitu, ameshikilia makasi, na pale naona Lepres William Ruto. This man with huyu nati man anakaa Sudi. Nyuma yake kuna Kimani Ichung'wah. That's Kimani Ichung'wah. Mbele yake ni Sakaja Ichung'wah, nyuma yake alafu Murkomen, alafu we have Kuria CS, and that who is this first one?
Na kuna mtu anakata maji.
Huyu ni Ndindi Nyoro, si ndio? Huyu ni Ndindi Nyoro. Interpretations za kwenu, tuanze na Nick.
You know, as I was saying earlier, that these are people who went into a marriage of convenience. And you know, it's coming out very clearly. I only sympathize with the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, that he's realizing it when it's too late. He's on record saying that he entered into a marriage without a certificate, and he did not demand to see a certificate.
Come we stay.
You understand? Now they are having kids who are very troublesome, like Ndindi Nyoro. You see, you have already paid your school fees. I want you to imagine, mtoto amekula school fees, right? Now wanasema mimi sitaki masomo.
Nimewacha.
As a matter of fact, I want to become the father of this house.
Namea pembe.
And you know, it is very sad because look at other regions. Richard, it's only in Mount Kenya that people are doing this kind of shenanigans. And we are sending a serious warning
that this should not be happening.
Exactly.
So you're saying that UDA, let's not say UDA, let's say there's politics coming out of other factions which are dividing the people of Mount Kenya.
And you know, despite whatever they are doing, one thing that I don't want to disagree with Rigathi Gachagua, he might even form his own party. Recently I've seen that his United Village Alliance, UVA.
Manavuva,
right? One thing that we're not going to agree with him, he's not going to become a party leader of whatever party that he decides to do and still take us back to Zakayo. That tumetoka Misri, alafu Musa anakuja kuturudisha bado kwa Farao.
Anatudanganya. Kuna route ingine hapa, kumbe tunarudi.
You understand?
We're making our way back. Okay. We are slipping back to Nyayo era. That's an opinion also. That's just right there, complimenting what you're saying.
Regardless of whatever is happening, UDA, which is none of our business. If they want to fight day in, day out,
let them
fight. Okay. But we are clearly seeing that this is a government that, one, they had no plan.
Okay.
Two, there's a lot of wrangles inside. Three, it's going to break in the middle.
Yeah. Ojwang, when President William Ruto left for the States, nilisema vile alikanyaga tu nje hivi, wakasema bas, nani yule alikuwa na beef na mimi? Tuanze kudeal. And I thought when he's coming back, we are going to see a change, watu watulie. But na kama hiyo fight vile ilianza, it's over. There's no going back. What is your interpretation of this here by Dula?
Shida iko hapa. That wakati alienda, moto uliwaka.
Yes.
Na when President Ruto was coming back to Kenya from US, alipata watu ambao tayari wako charged up. Kuna mali inafikaga when you are kwa vita unapata kitu inaitwa adrenaline rush. So umekusha kuja umepata watu wamelimana proper na wako katikati ya siasa za UDA. Sawa. So utapata hiyo ndo siku ambayo hadi Sakaja alisimama akasema huyu jamaa amezoea kubuli watu. Lakini yeye akibuliwa
kidogo ashalia.
Now that was being addressed to number 2.
Yes.
DP Rigathi Gachagua.
Yeah.
Acha nikwambie kitu, one time you may want to be Kenya's DP on your way to presidency.
Yes.
Never enter into any alliance without your own party. Sasa hizi ndio
shida ambazo zinapata
shida zinakumba Rigathi Gachagua.
Kwa hivyo can I say then that this one man one shilling one vote is his boat out of this marriage?
It's his boat, but tayari hiyo si boat, hiyo ni taitaje the raft.
Bado haija
kubwa bana, tuko huku chini. Because the one man one shilling one vote si ya leo. This was a provision in the BBI. It is not his conversation.
He's just riding on it.
Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta's conversation and the Azimio group. Hao ndo walikuwa wanaongelea kuhusu.
Kwa hivyo ndio maana tunaona Raila Odinga akisupport akisema kwa sababu hii ni conversation ambayo alishaanzisha.
Sasa shida yake ni bado hajapata his own topic ya kurudi nayo home. Na hapo ndo sympathy politics zinaingililia. Wamenitenga nahitaji kuenda Madaraka Day,
hawajanilipia fare,
wamekataa hata ndege bana. Unaona? Hana hiyo conversation and it's going to be very hard for Rigathi to go back to Mount Kenya and retain it. You know, in 2022 I would say he was new. He will have more money in 2027 than he had in 2022.
Yes.
But he was new. He was given a chance. Kwa ndoa yenye hata sisi wenyewe kama wa Kenya we never knew kwenye inaelekea. You know, with Uhuru Kenyatta being president and Ruto being his deputy, we knew hii jani inafaa ishe na 10 yangu 10 yako. Hii iliharakishwa. Ushaikuwa mahali you need a wife. Umetokea mahali kwa meeting you need a wife but you don't have a wife, you have to rent a wife.
This
is a case.
This is a rent a wife Kenya.
Na ashaingia kwa ndoa. Na amezaa
watoto wasumbufu. Watoto wasumbufu.
Na bwana ashaanza kusema hii sura manze
tufanye DNA test.
This was not I was looking for.
They are looking for paternity test.
Na nataka arudi nyumbani sasa with one man one shilling one vote. That is a conversation that has always been there. It's not new. It's something that should have happened.
Yes.
Equitable share of resources does not mean juu kwenyu kumewaka jua sana. Nyinyi watu 10 mpewe 1 million.
Mpewe 1 million jumewakiwa jua.
Sisi watu 1000 tupewe 1 million bado. Even if you're talking about equality.
There's no equality there.
There is no equality, there is no equity.
Yes.
And politics of 2027 will be based on that.
Here is a final question because it's 9:55 in the morning and I have 2 questions. Nilikuwa nataka kwanza na hiyo ya one man one shilling one vote, which is me as a Kenyan who basi mimi pia nataka nikuje Limuru 3. Mbona nitafanya aje nikuwe invited? I am a resident. I'm a resident of Mount Kenya. I have lived and studied in Mount Kenya region for a major part of my life. Actually, the major part has been in Mount Kenya, although originally I'm not from Mount Kenya.
But kutoka form 1 umekuwa Alliance High School Kiambu, umemaliza umeingia
Kenyatta University.
Ni kama
kazi ndio mimi ni mtu wa Kiambu. Hapa ndio nyumbani.
Wewe na mheshimiwa the former president the late Moi. Wewe ni the same.
Yes.
Moi was not born for that presidency. Alipata by chance na akashikilia the same way. Umefika hapo hivyo.
Yes.
Now,
so swali langu ilikuwa ni kwa nyinyi wawili wote. It's 9:56 in the morning. Swali ni
I'll take 30 seconds juu najua Mwadime
ako na submissions
mingi na najua pia yeye ataenda Muranga leo mimi sitamake. So akona so mimi sitachukua time mingi hapo hivyo.
Mbona sijaitwa na nitaitwaje? Na am I a part of watu ambao wanaweza itwa?
Good. Hiyo ndio sasa nataka niongelele nikitumia facts. Limuru 3 in Limuru, Moses Kuria wanted to go. He is a Kikuyu, he did not go. Do you know why?
Why?
The organizers of Limuru 3 do not want chaos. So they are inviting people. Only delegates are there. Ndio maana nakwambia hata invites zinafanyika via SMS.
Kama ile wali
kesho tunaenda wapi? Leo wako ACK Muranga. Hapo ndo wako. Ni mashinani. It's the same Limuru 3 but now in mashinani. You remember me telling you that for us to make it, we need to give our people civic education.
Yes.
Ifanyike waite mahali kwa hall, nilikwambia it's very orderly kuliko kwa uwanja. It's not the same as going to Bukungu. Waite kila mtu akikuja hapo hivyo, wale ambao wanaongelesha hawaongelei kuhusu their interest. No one has talked about anataka kuwa president or something. Wanaongea kuhusu issues za Mount Kenya. So unaweza kuwa invited. But sasa ni
kwa delegate.
Ukue delegate.
Utakuwaje delegate?
Ukue delegate, unaambia tu organizers you want to be a delegate. Hakuna mambo ya hongo juu.
Hakuna mambo ya jina yangu ni ya pili ni Okenye. Hakuna hiyo.
I will never be rich enough wa kupeana hongo ever in my life. Hiyo ni kitu huwa nasema. Kwa nini mbona nikupee hongo na natafuta chenye wewe unatafuta? Haya. Jambo lingine la mwisho sikuwa nataka kusahau.
Mwisho kabisa tafadhali.
Nikimalizia papo hapo hivyo. Ni kwamba sisi kama vijana tumeamua.
Tumeamuaje?
Ya kwamba the time is now. Hii yenye huwa tunaongelelea kesho ni kesho gani? The other day I told you that Babu Owino hajapitisha 35 years. He's going for governorship of Nairobi.
After 2 terms as member of parliament.
Uko hapo, uko 30 years, you're telling us you have a future in this politics that you would like to vie in 2030 something, 2040 something. Vijana, wakati ni sasa. You don't need to have money.
Waambie pale.
Wakati ni sasa. You don't need to have money. Pata tu akili, itumie. Tujifunze kutumia nafasi ambazo tuko nazo kwa sababu serikali ni yetu sisi wote. Sio ya wazee au watoto wao.
Asante sana.
Nikimalizia juu najua utaniambia nirudi.
Sitakwambia hata kidogo.
Allow me to shout out some of our people who are there representing Roysambu. We have wakili Karani, Moremi Karani ako Muranga, na wako na Grace Kamau anatoka kwa ofisi ya Women Representative Nairobi, Esther Pasari. Tuko na Martin na tuko na Chivinjeri ni kiongozi wa Manassas. But kwa upande huu wa Roysambu they are in Muranga for Limuru 3 bado. Nasema asante, shukran tena zaidi.
Asante sana Nick Mwadime.
I think this was a Roysambu meeting.
Yes, unaona.
And I see, you can see my voters are very happy.
Yes.
One thing that probably in just 1 minute I should let you know.
Yes.
When we did Limuru 3, we took that report to Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, to Eugene Wamalwa, and finally to Baba.
Yes.
This meant or signified that we are inviting all communities to discuss similar issues that partake the report of Limuru 3.
Yes.
So the big question is, are we available? Are we ready?
All right. I hope you are. That's it. Any shout outs today, Nick Mwadime?
Well, of course, I have to say thank you to Director Ryan for continuously supporting the people of Roysambu.
Yes.
And we don't take it for granted, as my good friend is saying. And as we head to Muranga today, let us be civilized. Let us remember this is our country. Let us not burn it. We are a very peaceful nation. We don't want to result as other communities. To thank the people of Mkusa, my national chairman, Faris Jen, our national treasurer, President Eston Maina, and each and every single member of Mkusa, and finally, Nairobi County, the chairman of the youth.
Right. Nina kama mmetumwa kutoka Roysambu. People of Kisii County, did you send me today? I hope. But thank you for everyone who tuned into the show. Thank you, gentlemen, for that conversation, and to Gatwiri, who left earlier after half or the first part of the conversation. This has been Biashara Tuesday. We discuss business, the business of the economy, the business of the politics, the business of the individual, the business that brings money to you, and the business that makes you lose money, because we want to make sure we are mitigating against that second part especially. So when you tag us, you let us know of your financial thoughts, of your financial issues, of any other business queries that you have on the hashtag Biashara Tuesday, hashtag Rise Today. My name is Richard OKENYE. I bring this show on Tuesday mornings after Monday morning, Art and Culture Monday, with that gentleman there. Ojwang Mariam comes on Monday morning, and then I come back here on Tuesday for business conversation. This whole show is called Today. If you need us on the ground, if you need us with anything that regards to what we do here, you can reach us out on KUTV_Kenya. On my personal handles is @Richard_OKENYE. This week, President William Ruto will be heading to his actual office with a branch at JKIA, because on Friday he'll be at the G7 summit in Italy. He is among the only 5 African leaders who've been invited to address that summit of the world's top 7 countries. Development agendas, security concerns, and much more of our relationships with those countries. So we'll be waiting to see when he's back, what kind of goodies he has. But as for me, to you, thank you for allowing this to happen. From my director and producer, Ryan Ngure, and the whole team here, we are very grateful for this week. May your profits be high, but your humor higher, so that you can laugh all the way to the bank. I'll see you around.